हेलो। चालू हो गया ऑलरेडी ब्रो, मैं कैसे कुछ बोल रहा ही नहीं था। ठीक है। आई डोंट नो व्हाट टू से। आई विल बी स्टार्टिंग टू क्रिएट ए प्लेटफॉर्म प्रोजेक्ट। लास्ट टाइम आई गेस टॉप डाउन प्रोजेक्ट बनाया था, लेकिन 4 आवर्स में ऑफकोर्स फिनिश नहीं हुआ। टुडे आई डोंट इंटेंड टू फिनिश द प्रोजेक्ट, बट आई ओनली इंटेंड टू इनिशिएट द प्रोसेस। राइट, ठीक है। सो आई जस्ट क्रिएट अ बेसिक प्लेटफॉर्म एंड देखते हैं इसमें क्या क्या कर सकते हैं हम लोग। Just let the project open up and then we'll have to import the assets. Of course assets भी pre-made यूज़ करने वाले हैं, that is जो Unity ने प्रोवाइड किया। स्ट्रीम चालू हुआ है? यप, हुआ है। ठीक है। So here we have this. But before doing anything, I would first like to set up this Unity project. For that, I would like to go to in project and I'll see कि क्या क्या चीज़ें available हैं यहाँ पे। Alright, the collections are required. Custom new event might be required. I don't really use JetBrains or Rider. I mean, basically both are the same thing, but I don't use them, so I don't really require them. I'll be getting rid of visual or version control, sorry, as well as visual scripting. ये सारे पैकेजेस आई गेस यूनिटी खुद ही बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट प्रोवाइड करके देता है प्री इंस्टॉल करके। आई डोंट नीड विजुअल स्क्रिप्टिंग एज वेल। एआई नेविगेशन बहुत ही दूर की बात होगी, अभी के लिए तो नहीं चाहिए, सो अभी के लिए मैं इसको रिमूव कर दूंगा। एंड टाइमलाइन आई गेस रख सकते हैं। आई डोंट थिंक आज यूज़ करने की नौबत आएगी टाइमलाइन को, बट ठीक है, विल जस्ट कीप इट। आई वुड ऑल्सो लाइक टू अपडेट द विजुअल स्टूडियो एडिटर टू द लेटेस्ट वर्जन so that I get the latest intelligence. I don't really use Visual Studio Code Editor, but anyways मैं इसको यहाँ पे रखूँगा अभी के लिए। Then I want one more thing, that is the universal render pipeline before I begin importing any assets. Right? पहले से इसको सेटअप करके रख लेता, why not? हाँ, live chat is currently unavailable. बैकग्राउंड नॉइस काफ़ी ज़्यादा दिख रहा है मेरे को, एंड देयर इज़ नथिंग आई कैन डू टू स्टॉप दैट। सो यूनिवर्सल आरपी यहाँ पे इंस्टॉल किया। नाउ आई जस्ट नीड टू सेट इट अप within the project as well. So I'll create a folder called as rendering, wherein I'll put the renderer assets as well as some render textures if required further. So I'll just say कि pipeline, right? within rendering and pipeline, I'll create a 2D forward renderer, that is in here, right? And I'll name it uh, default, right? Or maybe I can delete it again and maybe rename it something else, that is default 2D, which sounds better, right? So I know, okay, it's a default 2D forward renderer. So in that case I'll go to graphics and यहाँ पे इसको default 2D पे switch करता हूँ. So now that it is using the render pipelines for all the settings, as you can see, and as well as for quality at ultra, will be using the default 2D. Now do we really want to check everything at ultra? Maybe we do, right? So अभी के लिए what I can do is I can get rid of other levels, right? So yeah, ultra is the default quality level that we have in our game right now. If बाद में quality level चाहिए, we can definitely add it, right? बाद में उसका edit कर सकते हैं. But for now, the ultra quality level is the only one with the 2D renderer, right? So ठीक है, अपना rendering setup हो गया. The next thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to set up my own set of utilities. Firstly, a theme. Right, burst compilation is working, and then I'll just select this theme and I'll apply it. As you can see, मेरा पूरा Unity का skin change हो गया, and this is what I'll be using for now. And then I want the utilities that I have created, including some attributes and other stuff such as singletons, which I don't think we should be using, but it's just there if ever required, right? So now we'll be using the package manager to download the actual assets that are going to be used for this project. (2D game kit), I guess वही नाम था. Yep. Import. Import. Skip. Correct. Now we don't really require assets, all we need आर आर्ट्स. लेकिन इस पर एनिमेशंस काफ़ी सारे बना के रखे हुए लोग ने. आई थिंक एनिमेशंस हम लोग खुद के बनाने चाहिए, बिकॉज वी विल हैव मोर कंट्रोल ओवर इट. राइट, सो ठीक है. सो एलन पे वी डोंट वांट all of this yet. Animations, let collapse that. Sprites is what we want. Correct. Tile pam palettes अभी कभी बना लेगा. Documentation, prefabs, everything is totally unrequired. Right now there is one more thing that we need to turn off, that is project settings. So for some reasons यहाँ पे बताया नहीं ये लोग ने. Is it bugged? I have no idea. But ठीक है. For now I am only opting for this sprites folder, and that is exactly what I want. So I'll click next, and अभी that's ये नया चीज़ है. I guess नया वर्जन में अपडेट हुआ रहेगा. This is not something that we require. So I'll check off the override and I'll import. पहले सब कुछ एक ही ड्रॉप डाउन में दिखता था. अभी there are 2 panels, like page 1 and page 2. So नया अपडेट आया रहेगा, I guess. Cool thing. Anyways, Alright, so I guess सारे के सारा assets import हो गया, and we just need to reorganize them. Yes. So within arts we have sprites. I don't think I need that. In GameKit के अंदर we'll just keep sprites and that's it, right? Here we can have more folders such as animations or scripts or whatever if required, but we'll not be using that right now. अभी के लिए मेरे को एक चीज़ बस सीखना है, इसका स्प्राइट एटलस वगैरह जो भी है एटलीस्ट ये दोनों को पैक करके रख देता, राइट? बिकॉज रन टाइम पे वापस आई डोंट वांट एक्स्ट्रा लोडिंग. आई गेस एक और स्प्राइट एटलस अवेलेबल होता है, बट ठीक है, डजेंट मैटर. यहाँ पे what I will be creating is my own folder, that is main. This is where I will be keeping all of the stuff that I have explicitly created, within where the first thing that must exist must be scripts, because I really like coding. ठीक है, so let us start with ड्राइंग आउट कैरेक्टर एंड बेसिक एनवायरमेंट्स. आई गेस सबसे पहली चीज़ अपने को एक बेसिक ग्राउंड सेटअप करना चाहिए, विद इन विच आई मस्ट बी यूजिंग अ लेयर कॉल्ड एज ग्राउंड, राइट? We already have other layers, but ground is what we require because this is a 2D platformer game, and yeah, वहाँ पे ground by default available रहना चाहिए. And then we'll be using 2D tile palette, correct? And tile palette के अंदर will go to tile sets and I'll be creating a new palette, right? This new palette will be called jungle. Create within 2D, I'll say tile sets, but actually this is not something that I had explicitly created, so I'll again go to 2D GameKit and यहाँ पे मैं बोलूँगा tile sets, right? Within which I'll create yet another folder called as jungle, which is the same name as the palette's name. I'll select that folder and यहाँ पे वो palette बन चुका. Now within the palette we need members. Now to add members, yep, ये बड़ा हो चुका. Yep, okay. To add members, ये लोग ने चेंजेस किया थोड़ा बहुत. Alright, this is something new. वो ऊपर के बटन्स निकाल के उसको यहाँ पे शिफ्ट करती है. Alright, so again I think I'm using this version for the first time. Where were we? 2D GameKit, tile sets, jungle, select, correct? We have this, and then केवन का भी बना के ही रख लेते हैं ताकि हम लोग को बाद में बनाना ना पड़े वापस. So I'll go to again 2D GameKit, tile sets, यहाँ पर I'll create cabins and that again, right? So I have both the tile assets or tile palettes ready to be used. Alright, so within here I'll be creating the first grid, that is a rectangular tile map, right? The grid should be 1 by 1 as default because ये सब assets already pre-made and सब proper ही चलने वाला है. We don't need to adjust anything as of now, which is a good thing because वहाँ से अपना टाइम सेव होता है. And I'll be painting this tile map as ground, right? So grid has a ground as of now. Of course we'll be grounding onto the jungle. So okay, I think I'm in edit mode. No, that was the edit mode, right? Toggles, palette, edit button, visibility of gizmo. Alright, Okay, so this is edit mode off, I guess then. Oh, okay, this is off and this is on, so brighter color is on. All right, ठीक है in this case, because ये theme में भी darker color is kind of on and brighter color is off. So यहाँ पे थोड़ा रिवर्स है, so it got me confused. ठीक है, ground को will paint right here and will repeat the top part. Alright, ठीक है. Alright then, I guess that's it. इसके ऊपर will add a tilemap collider as of now, and also one more last thing कि in tile sets को we need to change the sprite mode to grid. Same thing for jungle. थोड़े बहुत sprites के लिए changes करने आना पड़ेगा फ्यूचर में, बट ठीक है अभी के लिए आई थिंक दिस सेटअप इज जस्ट फाइन. राइट, सो इसने क्या किया, सबके सब कोलाइडर्स को स्क्वायर कंसिडर किया, विच इज़ वेयर वी गेट दिस. नाउ आई गेस देयर इज वन मोर थिंग दैट वी कैन डू, that we can add a composite collider to this collider. राइट, यहाँ पे रिजिड बॉडी लेते हैं, उसको स्टैटिक मार्क करते हैं, सो वी कैन गेट rid of the rigid body. टाइलमैप कोलाइडर पे जाके will turn on used by composite, and the composite is what we get. Now why do we require composite? It's because इसका कोलाइडर इस तरीके से टॉप पे ना आना चाहिए, बीच में आना चाहिए. So composite will allow us to change that. राइट, इसका कोलाइडर पे थोड़ा ऑफसेट देने को हेल्प करेगा, विच इज़ समथिंग दैट वी वांट टू हैपन ऑन टू अवर कैरेक्टर्स. राइट, अभी यहाँ पे वी कैन ऑल्सो आई गेस से उसका ऑफसेट डिस्टेंस वगैरह कुछ कम वगैरह होना चाहिए, बट ठीक है, आई डोंट थिंक वी नीड टू यूज़ स्लोप्स और एनीथिंग फॉर दिस प्रोजेक्ट. सो ठीक है, यहाँ पे टाइल सिर्फ कोलाइडर का थोड़ा सा ऑफसेट दिया हुआ है, एंड दैट्स इट एज ऑफ नाउ. सो विल गो बैक टू क्रिएटिंग द कैरेक्टर. अभी कैरेक्टर उठाने के लिए वी हैव स्प्राइट्स, एनिमेटेड स्प्राइट्स, एलन, एनिमेशंस, आइडल. ये यहाँ पे परफेक्टली रिसर्च है, इसके जो भी एसेट्स है वो सब प्रॉपरली सेट है. लाइक इसके लिए कस्टम पिवट सेट है विच अलाउस अस टू फ्लिप परफेक्टली, सो कुछ इशू नहीं आने वाला है, यहाँ पे सब बराबर ही चलने वाला है. देयर इज जस्ट वन मोर थिंग दैट वी नीड टू डू विद इन ए रेंडर, दैट इज वी नीड टू ऐड सॉर्टिंग लेयर्स. सॉर्टिंग लेयर्स कैन बी क्लासिफाइड एज foreground as well as background. Right, so ठीक है, whereas ground should be a part of the background within the layer of -10, whereas this character, that is the sweet Alan, I don't know why. ठीक है, so I'll mark her onto a layer 1, so she always renders in front of any entity that I forgot to change the layers for. Alright, when I forget to change any orders for any entity that I input, she is always going to be rendered fourth or fourth, not fourth, just fourth, that is front. Alright, so इसमें भी बेसिक सेटअप्स लगाना पड़ेगा, जैसे कि we require rigid body 2D as well as capsule collider 2D. यहाँ पे आएगा, मेरे को इसका साइज़ भी याद हो चुका है. Yes, I perfectly remember the size. Nice. फिर we require our own script, but before we do that we also require animation inputs. So we'll be going to animation and using this window to create an animation clip within 2D game kit, a new folder, animations, right, and this is for Alan, right? The first animation we require is definitely the idle animation, and यहाँ पे I'll be creating a new project panel just because मेरे को बार बार अंदर अंदर navigate नहीं करना. I'll click on this icon right here and I have all of the frames required, correct? I'll select all of them and I'll divide them equally into distances of 5, and that's it. I now get to play them. ऑफ कोर्स मैं एनिमेटर पैनल पे जाऊँगा नहीं, यहाँ पे भी इसको सेटअप करके रखूँगा. दैट इज़ एनिमेटर पे. वेयर इज़ एवरीथिंग? उप्स, यस. ऑलराइट, सो एंट्री पे वी हैव आइडल. दैट्स ग्रेट, करेक्ट. सो नाउ आई प्रेस प्ले. आई विल सी माई एलन playing the idle animation, which is great. Okay, so इसको re-input करना था सब कुछ. Yes, and also one more thing, since हम लोगों ने URP already preset कर लिया, now all of the materials are by default as sprite lit default, if you can see. That is great, because it automatically allows us to add lights to all of these materials in here. If हम लोग URP नहीं ऐड करते, then every material would be just sprite default, not lit, because lit is a concept within the pipeline that allows us to create two materials and types of lit and unlit, one which emits and accepts lights and one which doesn't accept light. So फिर हर एक मटेरियल को हम लोग को चेंज करना पड़ा. वी विल प्रॉब्ली हैव टू राइट अ स्क्रिप्ट दैट ऑटोमेटिकली चेंजेस ईच एंड एवरी मटेरियल इन अ सिंगल क्लिक, बट ठीक है, अभी उतना मेहनत बच गया अपना, बिकॉज इसको पहले से सोच के रखा क्या करना. राइट, सो ठीक है, शी इज़ डेफिनेटली फॉलोइंग द आइडल एनिमेशंस, एंड एज यू कैन सी यहाँ पे स्प्राइट पे इसका स्प्राइट्स चेंज हो रहा है. दैट इज़ एवरी 0.5 seconds, not 0.5, 0.05 seconds, it is incrementing its sprite and keeping on repeating it, जो भी हम लोगों ने डेटा पास किया उस पर. राइट, सो आई जस्ट स्टॉप दिस. इसका फ्लिप ऑफ करता बिकॉज इट इज़ वियर्ड टू सी हर ऑन द लेफ्ट. एंड ठीक है, दैट्स इट. इसका बेसिक से सेटअप हो गया. वी हैव एनिमेशंस, वी हैव एवरीथिंग एल्स. नाउ व्हाट वी रिक्वायर इज ए स्क्रिप्ट. Right, so I'm going to create a script and I'm going to call it controller. Alright, this might sound like a very generic name. What controller? Whose controller? Right, so for now I'm going to create a namespace. Alright, this namespace will be called untitled, because of course the game isn't titled yet. And उसके अंदर I'll create Ellen, because Ellen is a part of the untitled game. Correct. So we have this. So now controller refers to the game name within which there is a namespace called as Ellen, which resembles our character. Right, or we can also go for untitled player, which sounds much better, right, because Alan is the player. So we have player controller, so that makes sense now, right? ठीक है, इसके अंदर we'll just write on to fixed update definitely the code to make our character move. Now first of all, where do we want to, or how do we want to comprehend the input? Do we want to use keycodes? Do we want to use buttons? I guess buttons are just fine as well. So I'll just use if input dot get button, that is horizontal, correct? In that case, I'll just move. What function do I use to make the character move? Now there are multiple ways to do this, such as you can also use transform dot position, and you can increment the position by vector 3 dot right into time dot delta time. Okay, so this is a bad method. Why? Because we are incrementing on its global position for when a character or for when the player will be part of a child. Let's say when hopping onto a moving platform, it is required that Alan must become child of the platform unless we write explicitly code which also makes the character move along with platform, in which case she won't have the independency to move on the platform. Right, so I guess it would be just better to switch this with local position, and that is much better now. But instead of doing all that, I can also maybe use the translate function. I don't know which is better, but I think I've liked using translate function every now and then. So take यहाँ पे I'll use the new vector 3 wherein I will try to move it on x, and within x what do I require? The speed as well as delta time, correct? And within y I can pose out for 0, right? So for now what I am going to do is I am going to create a serialized field private vector 3 that is going to be translation. Alright, and this is what I'll be putting up right here instead of creating a new vector 3 every single fixed update, correct? And within the translation I'll use the x value as again time dot delta time. So whatever we want to happen on x-axis must be put over here, and यहाँ पे of course we need to update it every frame because the value of delta time is also different on every single frame. That is not true for fixed update, correct? But still, okay. So I guess what we can do is we can introduce a float called as space, right? That is space into input dot get access horizontal, right? I don't want to use get access raw, I want to use get access today, right? So there is that. It's going to give you a graduation of value from 0 to 1 instead of just 0, 1 or minus 1. It's going to go into decimal precision, that is 0.1, 0.2, 0.33, 0.45, 0.456 and so on, unless it reaches 1. That is कि मैं एक specific interval तक button hold करके रखूँ. It's for that. So ठीक है, what is it that I need to calculate every single frame? Do I need to calculate pace multiplying by delta time every single frame? The answer is no. But what if fixed delta time was modified at runtime? Now that is not something that is recommended to be done. So for that case what I am going to do is start को मैं already यहाँ पे लिखूँगा translation dot x would be equals to this value, correct? And then on every frame ये calculation already एक बार हो चुका, right? अभी इसका जो product मिलेगा that product will be multiplied by input dot get access horizontal on every single frame. Now I mean every single fixed update frame. You get my point, right? So there is no need for calculating these two variables all the time, unless we have something that changes or updates delta time over runtime, right? Which is usually not the case, and I'm definitely not going to do that. But again, यहाँ पे delta time के बदले we also need to multiply it with fixed delta time, right? So make sure कि fix delta time modify ना हो, and अगर modify हो then it's fine as long as game के start में modify हो रहा है. If game के बीच में modify हो रहा है, that's just bad design. Alright, so ठीक है. So we have translation and we have pace. The thing is, मैंने translation को serialize करके रखा है, but I don't really need to see the transition or the translation. I just need to read the values, right? So maybe we can keep it private, but private के बाद I won't be able to see its value in serialized field. So why isn't this working? Are the values too low? Maybe they are. So basically मेरे को इसको read only बनाना, right, which is one of the attributes that I had make. It is very simple to make, right? यहाँ पे literally एक read only property attribute लेना तुम लोग को, and then go to its custom property drawer and इतना सा GUI कोड लिख दो, right? That is on GUI enabled false, enabled true. And what is on property drawer? It's the base property class जहाँ पर मैंने इसको property scope पे कॉल किया है वाई एब्स्ट्रैक्शन, नथिंग बिग, राइट. इफ चाहिए तुम लोग यहाँ पे वीडियो पॉज करके जो भी है कॉपी करके रख सकते हो, एंड रेप्लिकेटिंग दिस विल डेफिनेटली वर्क इन योर प्रोजेक्ट एज वेल. बट ठीक है, यहाँ पे यू कैन सी मैंने इसको ग्रे आउट कर दिया. सो that is it is no longer into effect. And there is also one little weird bug within Unity 2022 is that मैंने जो भी थीम अप्लाई किया वो मोनो बिहेवियर के अंदर अप्लाई नहीं होता फॉर सम रीजंस. दैट इज कस्टम मोनो बिहेवियर्स के अंदर, बाकी it's working fine. So I don't know why that is. Yeah, the editor version 2022 is very buggy, I must say. So अभी यहाँ पे मेरा कैरेक्टर मूव नहीं हो रहा, राइट. व्हाट वाज द इशू कि मैं इसको गेट एक्सेस हॉरिजॉन्टल के साथ मल्टीप्लाई किए जा रहा हूँ. ओके, मे बी दैट इज़ द रॉन्ग अप्रोच. व्हाट इफ आई मल्टीप्लाई इट विद दिस वैल्यू. आई थिंक मैं उसको सेट कर रहा हूँ, मेरे को सेट नहीं करना चाहिए बराबर. That is, I'm doing the wrong thing, correct. Instead of doing all this, I must just multiply this with the transition value finally, correct. राइट. अभी इसका भी एक डाउन साइड है जो मैंने अभी जस्ट रियलाइज़ किया, बिकॉज ठीक है यहाँ पे द ट्रांजिशन का वाई एक्सेस भी यहाँ पे गेट एक्सेस रॉ से मल्टीप्लाई आने वाला. सो वी डोंट वांट कि वाई एक्सेस पर अगर कुछ इनपुट आए इन एनी केस लाइक लैडर पे चढ़ने का निकलने का वगैरह, वी डोंट वांट इट टू बी मैनिपुलेटेड बाय ए एंड यू कीवर्ड्स. सो इन दैट केस ये पूरा का पूरा कोड यहाँ पे ही बेस्ट है, राइट, बिकॉज वही यूज़ करना है हम लोग को. एंड विल जस्ट मल्टीप्लाई दिस हियर एज वेल, राइट. सो दैट वुड बी the better thing to do as of now. And यहाँ पे since we are using delta time within the fixed update, I think we can move on to using just the delta time instead of fixed delta time, which essentially gives us back the same thing. ठीक है. So there we have that. We are now able to move our character left and right, which is fine. But I want so much more, right? And यहाँ पे I also require get access instead of raw, which caused a problem जब मैंने पेस और फिक्स टाइम का प्री कैलकुलेशन करके रखा था. मे बी अगर प्री कैलकुलेशन करके रखा देन आई मस्ट यूज़ अ डिफरेंट वेरिएबल टू स्टोर दैट वैल्यू, राइट. एंड ट्रांसलेशन में कुछ और आना चाहिए फिर, राइट. सो इन दैट केस अगर मेरे को स्टिल वो पिकअप करना है, राइट, सो मेरे को कुछ एक वेरिएबल बना के रखना पड़ा. दैट वुड बी पब्लिक फ्लोट, लेट्स से temp, right. Within temp I must replicate the same thing, that is this thing right here within fixed delta time, and temp is what then should be multiplied with get access raw, and x of translation should be updated all the time, which is why we have kept it like this. right? This would just work fine, right? But still टेम्प अपने को पहले से प्री कैलकुलेट करके रखना पड़ेगा, विच इज़ नॉट रियली गुड. सो ठीक है, इसका वैल्यू कर रहा था पहले 0.1 बनाया ना, 0.01, दैट इज़ वेरी लो. ठीक है, so we can name this delta pace, right? And we really don't need to keep it public, we can just keep it private, right? Whereas delta pace is directly related to the pace variable, that is good. ठीक है, so I'll also create a header and call it movement, right? Because this depicts movement, right? Translation is a part of that, pace is also a part of that. Now what else do we require? Of course we need to make the character animate or feedback to animate when it is actually moving. For that मेरे को एक और चीज़ करना है उसके बाद, that is that horizontal and horizontal, ये दोनों लिटरल्स जो स्ट्रिंग जा रहे हैं उसको किधर ना किधर स्टोर करके रखना है. मे बी क्रिएटिंग एन इनपुट मैनेजर ऑफ सम काइंड विच वुड गेट मी द हॉरिजॉन्टल बटन. ठीक है, आई विल ट्राई टू डू दैट. I don't know if that is the proper thing to do, but ठीक है, I'll create a script. This will be called as input handler, correct? And let's say this is a public static class input handler, right? Its job is to provide us horizontal help, right? So it's going to give us input get button horizontal, right? And बार बार ये literal पास करने के बदले we can also use private const string horizontal, जहाँ पे इसका value would be literally the same thing, right? So हम लोग यहाँ पे इस तरीके से इसको रखते हैं, and is horizontal held is going to give us literally this thing. Yes, static, right? So that it is only created once. ठीक है ना, अभी यहाँ पे ये एक क्लास के अंदर जा रहा है, उसके अंदर एक फंक्शन रन कर रहा है, उसके अंदर पैरामीटर पास कर रहा है. आई थिंक ये ऑटोमेटिकली इनलाइन हो जाएगा कंपाइलर से, राइट? सो आई जस्ट नीड टू डू वन थिंग, इट्स दैट मेरे को इसको सबसे पहले नेमस्पेस में डालने का, दैट इज अनटाइटल्ड, right? Because it is part of the untitled game, and within here I am going to using static input handler, right? Input handler के साथ I will be using is horizontal helper, right? And within this I can also write a summary that is returns literally this thing, right? अगर ये चीज़ रिटर्न कर रहा है देन वाई यू आस्क कि इसका ज़रूरत क्या, वाई डोंट वी जस्ट यूज़ दिस ओवर देयर, करेक्ट? लाइक इतना चीज़ भी हम लोग यहाँ पे कर सकते हैं, हॉरिजॉन्टल के बदले वी कैन जस्ट पुट आउट कि ये चीज़ पब्लिक रहेगा, देन यहाँ पे वो चीज़ आ जाएगा, राइट? इनपुटेड गेट बटन हॉरिजॉन्टल. अभी इसका भी एक फ़ायदा है और एक नुकसान भी है, इस दैट हम लोग का फंक्शन बार बार जो भी है नॉट एन इशू, इट्स जस्ट दैट कि थोड़ा सिंटेक्स हाईलाइटिंग दिख जाएगा अपने को, दैट इज़ वी वुड बी एबल टू रिकॉग्नाइज कि हाँ ठीक है, ग्रीन एंड येलो चीज़ें साथ में दिखी, मतलब यहाँ पे इनपुट का कोड लगा हुआ है, एंड यहाँ पे देयर इज़ नो डाउन साइड सिंस ये पूरा का पूरा चीज़ इनलाइन हो रहा है हॉरिजॉन्टल हेल्ड में, राइट. इट इज़ नॉट कॉलिंग दिस फंक्शन, इट इज़ इनलाइनिंग दिस फंक्शन right here, copy paste करके within a different alias or behind a different alias. So both are essentially the same thing with no downside whatsoever. So ठीक है, it's up to your preference. इस तरीके से रखना या फिर इस तरीके से रखना, your choice. अभी इस तरीके से रखेंगे then I guess हम लोग को लिटरल बार बार बनाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. We just have one static constant, that's fine for now. Correct. सो ठीक है, दिस इज़ ग्रेट. अभी अगेन इसका डाउन साइड ये होगा कि जो मैंने अभी बोला कि डाउन साइड नहीं है, बट स्टिल लेट्स ट्राई टू रेक्टिफाई और थिंक अबाउट एवरीथिंग एल्स. दैट इज़ मैं यहाँ पे एक एनिमेशन या एनिमेशन करके एक और क्लास बनाऊंगा मैं, and this would again go into the same namespace, that is untitled player. That is, it is going to depict player का animation. Alright, so इसको मैं यहाँ से निकाल दूँगा. We have all of this and let's say we want to update our animations here. यहाँ पे भी अपने को fixed update and normal update में उसको changes करते रहना, which is fine. बट या डाउन साइड इस कि हम लोग को यहाँ पे सेम चीज़ इनपुट और गेट बटन वगैरह लिखना पड़ता है. इफ इनपुट हैंडलर पे वी हैड इज हॉरिजॉन्टल एंड हम लोग डायरेक्टली वो यहाँ पे ले सकते थे, बट अगेन नॉट एन इशू. वी कैन ऑल्सो स्टिल टेक अ रेफरेंस टू द कंट्रोलर विद इन एनिमेशंस एंड वहाँ पे इवेंट्स एक्सपोज करके उसको यहाँ पे बाइंड कर सकते हैं. सो दैट इज़ ऑल्सो वन वे ऑफ डूइंग इट. करेक्ट. सो ठीक है. हाँ, चेंज कर दिया उसको भी. इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू चेंज एनीथिंग, वो सब बराबर ही चलने वाला है. एनिमेशन को अपने को इधर अटैच करके रखने का. एंड ठीक है, यहाँ पे वी जस्ट नीड वन सिंगल रेफरेंस टू द एनिमेटर, दैट इज सीरियलाइज्ड फील्ड प्राइवेट एनिमेटर राइट. या फिर वी कैन ऑल्सो यूज m_anim बाय बाय, दैट इज कंपोनेंट्स को नाम दिख रहे तो राइट, दैट इज यूनिटी कन्वेंशंस. फिर इसके अंदर आई विल यूज़ द रीसेट फंक्शन एंड यहाँ पे बोलोगे m_anim इज इक्वल्स टू गेट कंपोनेंट एनिमेटर, विच इज़ फाइन. ओके, सो आई गेस मेरे को अभी इसको ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप करके रखना चाहिए और आई कैन जस्ट हिट रीसेट. दैट वाज जस्ट गेट द स्वीट कंट्रोलर और स्वीट एलिन का कंट्रोलर. Okay, so many noises around me. Cool. Within this controller, what is it that I must do? Yeah. अभी के लिए अपना कैरेक्टर लेफ्ट एंड राइट जाता है, दैट इज़ फाइन, बट इज इट actually facing left when going left? The answer is no. Right. अभी के लिए अपना you can see अपना कैरेक्टर आता जाता है आगे and when going back it still goes in reverse, which is not something that we want. So would it be part of the controller to do that, or would it be part of the animation? The thing is, it's part of the controller, right? And there are two ways we can achieve that. Either we can go to sprite renderer and यहाँ पे इसको flip वगैरह मरवा सकते हैं, या फिर we can just go to transform and इसको full 180 दे सकते हैं. Both are valid techniques, right? And ABM, कि if we are flipping the character 180, then we need to get access from around here. Right. So ठीक है, in which case we would be also eliminating the need for delta piece. Correct. So within fixed update I am just going to write, or yeah, within here I am just going to write that sprite renderer, जिसके लिए मेरे को यहाँ पे उसका कंपोनेंट बनाना पड़ेगा. So I'll just create a region called as PON components and region. Alright, and within the components I'm going to create list field private sprite renderer, that is m underscore renderer. Okay, within which again reset function may I like to put it m underscore renderer is equal to get component sprite. So that's great. But I'll also write m underscore renderer will be equals to, या फिर उसका flip x will be equals to this less than 0f, right? So this is technique number 1, that is oops, yeah, that is इसका sprite पर उसको flip कर दिया. Cool, that is fine, this works great. But the other technique जो मैंने बोला था कि इसका ट्रांसफॉर्म पे स्विचेस करना, अगेन स्प्राइट रेंडरर शुड नॉट बी अ पार्ट ऑफ द कंट्रोलर. एनीवेज इसको यहाँ से निकाल देता. एंड ऑल्सो वन मोर थिंग, सिंस हम लोग ट्रांसफॉर्म यूज़ कर रहे, इट वुड बी जस्ट बेटर कि हम लोग ट्रांसफॉर्म कैश कर दे, राइट? दैट इज विल जस्ट यूज दिस ट्रांसफॉर्म एंड इसको बोलेंगे न्यू, राइट? वेयर इज दिस ट्रांसफॉर्म दैट इज कैश्ड वुड बी इक्वल्स टू गेट कंपोनेंट ट्रांसफॉर्म, करेक्ट? या फिर वी कैन ऑल्सो डू वन मोर थिंग, बेस डॉट ट्रांसफॉर्म, जो अपने को वही चीज़ ला के देगा. So now we have a cached transform, which is great. And we don't want to use the flip x technique. What we want to use is transform को reverse करने का technique. That is transform dot Euler angles or as well as rotation can be changed. अभी Euler angles को change करेंगे, then we have input dot get access जो भी था ये. This is less than 0. Then we use question mark and then we write a new vector 2, that is for watching towards the left 0, 180, 0, or we use 0, 0, 0. We'll fix the code later, right? अभी के लिए जैसे इसको वर्क करा था, we press play and okay, I think I forgot something. Yep, transform. Yep, हाँ, सो ठीक है. अभी के लिए मैं कैरेक्टर स्लिपिंग फाइन, बट द थिंग इज वो फिर भी उल्टा जा रही है. दैट इज़ बिकॉज we don't or we no longer require this, which means we no longer require delta pace as well, right? Which means we can just say translation dot x would be equals to this, and that's it. Correct? बिकॉज अभी उसको ट्रांसलेट को हमें बोल रहे हैं कि फॉरवर्ड डायरेक्शन में जाए, बट फॉर व्हेन द कैरेक्टर इज फ्लिप्ड उसका फॉरवर्ड भी फ्लिप होता है, दैट इज द लेफ्ट साइड इज उसका फॉरवर्ड, करेक्ट? सो ऑटोमेटिकली वहाँ पे जाएगी. सो वी डोंट रियली नीड गेट एक्सेस रॉ ऑन टू एक्स एक्सेस, वी जस्ट नीड टू यूज़ इट फॉर व्हेन फ्लिपिंग द एंगल्स. अभी इस एंगल को थोड़ा अच्छे से रखना, दैट इज मे बी वी कैन यूज समथिंग एल्स, दैट इज ट्रांसफॉर्म डॉट रोटेशन. अभी रोटेशन यूज़ करें देन वी आर डीलिंग विद क्वेटर्नियंस विच इज़ नॉट समथिंग दैट वी वांट. सो मैं यहाँ पे दो चीज़ कर सकता हूँ. एक तो यहाँ पे मैं डिफ़ॉल्ट बना के रख सकता हूँ इसको, राइट? सो इट वुड ऑटोमेटिकली बी रिफरिंग टू नॉट ए न्यू वेक्टर 3 बट द डिफ़ॉल्ट वैल्यू, करेक्ट? सो ठीक है, दिस इज़ वर्किंग फाइन. नाउ आई जस्ट नीड वन मोर थिंग, दैट इज़ इसका फ्लिप होने पे इसका जो भी वेक्टर 3 मिल रहा है उसको ऑलरेडी स्टोर करके रखना है किधर ना किधर, राइट? सो आई विल डेफिनेटली बी क्रिएटिंग ए प्राइवेट रीड ओनली वेक्टर 3 that is flipped. Alright, and flipped पे आएगा this thing. Cool. So we'll be using the flipped variable right here for when get access is less than 0. Now this is what we need to check every time. Correct. Now there is also one more thing, is that again since हम लोग सिर्फ checking ही कर रहे हैं, why don't we use get access raw? What is even the requirement of floating point variables? Correct. So this is working just fine now. ठीक है, feels great. Alright. So ठीक है, that's good. So we have flipped and we have default, that is maybe इसको कुछ और अच्छा नाम दे सकते हैं, rotation on flip. I guess अभी के लिए नाम देते हैं इसको, and we'll just say summary TBD, to be decided, right? Which means मेरे को यहाँ पे कुछ ना कुछ डालना बाद में के लिए. ठीक है, we'll go to reset, we have start already subset and ठीक है, it's fine. अपना फिक्स अपडेट पे सब बराबर चल रहा है. क्या हुआ? कितना बजा? 6 बज गया, राइट? ठीक है. सो अभी के लिए हम लोगों ने क्या देखा उसका भी रिकैप कर लेते हैं. मैंने कुछ नहीं, थोड़ा बहुत प्रोजेक्ट सेटअप किया, अपने यूटिलिटीज़ डाले, एक एसेट पैक इंपोर्ट किया. एसेट पैक में हम लोगों ने टाइल सेट वगैरह सेटअप किया. टाइल सेट को ग्रिड पे डाला. ग्रिड पे डालने के बाद उसको पेंट किया थोड़ा बहुत. उसको पेंट करने के बाद उस पर कॉम्पोजिट कोलाइडर ऐड किया एंड देन अपना कैरेक्टर ऐड करके उस पर एनिमेशन डाला. कैरेक्टर पे एनिमेशन डाल के हम लोगों ने उस पर एक कस्टम स्क्रिप्ट बनाया, उसका पूरा सेटअप करके. एंड कौन हॉर्न बजा रहा है इतना दूर से? नो वे. ठीक है. एंड उस पर कंट्रोलर एंड एनिमेशन करके दो स्क्रिप्ट अभी तक अटैच किए. फॉर नाउ वी आर जस्ट एडिटिंग अवर कंट्रोलर स्क्रिप्ट एंड एनिमेशन स्क्रिप्ट अभी चेंज करेंगे. बट बिफोर वी डू दैट आई गेस मेरे को 5 to 10 मिनट्स का ब्रेक लेना चाहिए. ऑलराइट, सो ठीक है. यहाँ पे उप्स, वेट अ मिनट. हेलो। सो फॉर सम रीजन्स मेरा OBS बग हो गया था, मेरे को यहाँ पे चैट्स नहीं दिख रहा था। मैंने अभी क्रोम पे जाके तुम लोग के चैट्स पढ़े एंड ठीक है, एक एक करके सबको एड्रेस करने का ट्राई करता हूँ मैं। ओके, ट्राई यूजिंग अनरियल इंजन। श्योर ब्रदर। किधर गया? ब्लॉक। ओके, यस डन, नथिंग नथिंग। देन वी हैव रिपोर्ट का ऑप्शन, ठीक है वो भी कर देता हूँ। कैन वी यूज core routines and events for moment instead of any kind of updates? No. Core routines and events would be more expensive as compared to updates. Updates are the least expensive main functions there are. Right? अभी बिना अपडेट के काम करेगा then you are doing it wrong. Alright. So no. कोर रूटीन ज़्यादा एक्सपेंसिव हो जाता है। कोर रूटीन श्योर बहुत लोगों को देखा है मैंने, सॉरी दावे लिखा है, थोड़ा इशू हो रहा है बोलने में। बहुत लोगों को देखा है मैंने, स्टार्ट को आई न्यूमरेटर बना दिया, करेक्ट, एंड उसको बार बार लूप पे चालू रखते हो। व्हाट इज दिस डूइंग? ठीक, तुम लोग लिखते हो वाइल ट्रू, दैट इज एक कभी लूप एग्जिट नहीं करेगा, करेक्ट। वाइल ट्रू के अंदर यू से यील्ड रिटर्न null, that is every frame. Yeah, you use new wait for seconds 0.202, राइट। ये बेसिकली फिक्स्ड अपडेट को मिमिक कर रहा है, दैट इज इसके अंदर हम लोग जो भी कोड लिखेंगे वो फिक्स्ड अपडेट को मिमिक कर रहा है। बताते हैं इससे अगेन नया वेट फॉर सेकंड बना रहा है, अगेन चलो इसको कैश भी कर देते हो तुम लोग, बट स्टिल इट इज रनिंग एन आई न्यूमरेटर एंड इसका डाउन साइड क्या है, कभी भी स्टॉप हो सकता है, राइट। वी कैन कैंसल core routines at any given time, stop all core routines करके या जो भी है। ऑफकोर्स हम लोग ये मोनो बिहेवियर को बंद करके उसका एग्जीक्यूशन भी बंद कर सकते हैं, बट ठीक है core routines को ज़्यादा थोड़ा ड्रास्टिक होता है, बट दिस इज स्टिल बेसिकली द एग्जैक्ट सेम थिंग एज फिक्स्ड अपडेट बट विथ एक्स्ट्रा स्टेप्स। सो अगेन दिस इज मोर एक्सपेंसिव एज कम्पेयर टू अपडेट, राइट। ऐसा नहीं है कि अपडेट ज़्यादा एक्सपेंसिव है, अपडेट भी एक्सपेंसिव होता है, राइट। द बेस्ट कोड इज द कोड दैट डजंट रन एनीथिंग, ये सुना रहेगा। अभी यहाँ पे मैं एवरी फ्रेम में गेट बटन फंक्शन पास कर रहा हूँ एंड सब कुछ उसको चेक कर रहा हूँ, इट इज़ एक्सपेंसिव, करेक्ट। बट अगेन आई न्यूमरेटर में वही सेम चीज़ तुम लोग करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज हाउ एल्स वुड यू बी टेकिंग द इनपुट, करेक्ट। इतना तो करना ही पड़ेगा, दैट्स फाइन। एंड ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ऐसे मैं मिलियंस ऑफ कंडीशन डालूंगा तब जाके मेरे को लैग दिखना चालू होगा, राइट। 1 मिलियन कंडीशन मेरे को लैग दिखना चालू होगा, एंड लैग अफेक्ट कब करेगा गेम को, जब देयर विल बी 1 बिलियन कंडीशंस। सो अनलेस तुम लोग उतना कंडीशंस भर के रख रहे हो, आई डोंट थिंक कुछ इशू होना चाहिए, राइट। सो या इट्स फाइन। ऑल्सो कैन यू टेल मी व्हाट आर द टाइप्स ऑफ थिंग्स दैट वी शुड डू इन अपडेट एंड नॉट डू इन अपडेट्स? जो चीज़ एवरी फ्रेम होने वाली है कंटिन्यूसली, दैट शुड बी डन इन अपडेट, जैसे कि ट्विन इंजन का बैकएंड, राइट। इट शुड बी अपडेटेड एवरी सिंगल फ्रेम। फिक्स्ड अपडेट इज ओनली कॉल्ड 60 times per second by default because the calling rate is 0.02 seconds. So every 0.02 seconds के इंटरवल में एक फिक्स्ड अपडेट फंक्शन कॉल होता है which essentially gives us 60 frames per second. एंड अपडेट में इट डिपेंड्स ऑन योर हार्डवेयर, लाइक 300 to 400 times एक चीज़ कॉल होती है 1 सेकेंड में। सो वी डोंट रियली वांट दैट अनलेस हम लोग को एक्यूरेट एनिमेशंस वगैरह चाहिए। अगेन एग्जांपल वुड बी ट्विन इंजन का बैकएंड, इट्स बेस्ट रन ऑन अपडेट। एंड फिक्स्ड अपडेट में irrelevant character movement, alright, that is NPC movement वगैरह we can put it on fixed update. There is also one more thing, input check, right? जो up and down inputs है that execute only for one frame should be used on update and not fixed update. Fixed update पे we only use hold inputs, right? Because hold करने पे we are काइंड ऑफ टाइट टू कि कितना फ्रेम जनरेट कर हम लोग। अगर मैंने उसको 1 सेकंड तक होल्ड करके रखा था, 1 सेकंड में कितना फ्रेम जनरेट कर रहा हूँ, दैट वुड बी द रिजल्ट और दैट वुड बी द अमाउंट ऑफ इंटेंसिटी द कंटेंट वॉज कॉल्ड विद एन अपडेट। वेल वेर इज फिक्स्ड अपडेट में आई हैव टोटल कंट्रोल ओवर इट। दैट इज अगर मैं एक बटन को 1 सेकंड तक होल्ड करके रखता हूँ, आई हैव टोटल कंट्रोल एंड आई नो कि वो 60 टाइम्स से ज़्यादा कॉल नहीं होने वाला उसका कंटेंट, राइट। जैसे कि ये हाईलाइटेड कंटेंट जो है वो 60 से ज़्यादा टाइम कॉल नहीं होने वाला। which would not be the case in update. And update में भी ये कोड सेम ही काम करता था, फ़र्क नहीं रहता था, बट इट्स जस्ट दैट फिक्स अपडेट में वो थोड़ा कम एक्सपेंसिव हो जाता है, if that's what you're concerned about. Correct? Hi from Germany. Alright, so I think I must keep this session in English. I need some water. Yeah, and hello, it's nice. Can you explain very clearly? Can I know your name? Marmik. Yeah, Marmik. At first I thought the chat was really empty, so I kept on explaining it at a very low voice. Please do tell me if you are able to hear me clearly or not. So I guess अभी मेरे को continue करना चाहिए, which means I should be continuing. Right. So again, we have created. Oh, okay. So we have created some movement, some very basic movement, nothing crazy, right? Here. Now we just need to update animations for that, and before we update animation, there is just one more thing that I would like to do. That is एक और input देना है इसको running का input. For now we have pace as just one normal pace. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. One Edward Olongo, if I spoke your name correctly. Yeah, pace के बदले we require running pace and walking pace. I want my character to walk at two different paces. That is, I want to hold shift to run. So to be able to do that, मेरे को यहाँ पे बनाना पड़ेगा public float run pace as well as walk pace. Right? So ठीक है. Within the get button function, I would also be looking for if input dot get key. Correct. That is key code dot left shift. And if that is the case, in that case, I want my pace to be something else. Correct. Which means this space now shouldn't be editable via external classes, which means इसको मेरे को बनाना get in private set. Now when this is a property, you know this cannot be serialized, but that is just false, because we can still use this field keyword before serialized field to actually serialize it, and then I also want to make it read only. Alright, so ठीक है. So this is the syntax. ठीक है. Which means I don't really require now कि translation start पे set होगा, because now I have two paces or two speeds at which my character can run or move. Alright. ठीक है. So yeah, pace would be equals to this value, जिसको मेरे को कंडीशन में डालना चाहिए था, and that would be question mark, and if left shift is pressed as well, then I want to use the run pace or I want to use the walk pace, right? And whatever the pace is, it must be then multiplied by fixed delta time before it is passed to translate. Okay. Hello sir. Okay. Hello. Otaku senpai. So we are now checking if we have pressed left shift or not, if we are holding left shift or not, and if we update pace to run pace or simply go back to walk pace, and then we check, or then we update the translation x value with whatever pace we are using multiplied by fixed delta time, and then we pass it on to translation, and then after passing it on to translation we then use this code to flip our character left and right. Correct. सो आई गेस यहाँ पे थोड़ा स्पेसिंग डाल के रख सकते हैं बिकॉज इट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग आई गेस. ठीक है. So let's see if this is working or not. अभी the current moment we have. अच्छा यहाँ पे मैंने walk and run pace नहीं डाला हुआ है, so I'll just use 3 for walking speed and 6 for the running speed. So when I'm walking you can see my speed is kind of lower and you can see my pace right here, but for when I'm holding the shift you can see मेरा pace clearly 6 पर चले जाता है and everything just works fine. अभी just one more thing कि for when I release everything my translation and my pace doesn't reset because I want them to call back for my actual speed as of now. मेरे को information चाहिए कि अभी के लिए मेरा speed क्या है. What value am I translating my character at this current moment, and for when I am not putting out any input, that is एक input डालकर I just raise my hands up. Alright, so it still shows me the transition value is 0.06 as well as the pace is 3. There is a very simple solution to that, and for that we would be required to use update, that is if input dot get button up, that is for when we release the same button we want translation to go back to default. Then we also want कि अपना pace should go to default. Now I am going to try something and I don't know if it's going to work. No, it doesn't work. The types are different, alright, even though the keywords are same. Alright, so pace ko we can keep it at 0 and translation ko we can also, instead of using default you can still use vector 3.0, which is essentially the same thing. Alright, both are fine. Default भी रख सकते हैं, ये भी रख सकते हैं, whatever your preference tells you to. Yeah, whatever you prefer basically. So when I press play now, and I'll be able to get an accurate feedback on what my current translation and my current pace is, right, in here. Correct. So after all that, what I can do is I can now use the animation window. Since मैं अपनी कैरेक्टर को 2 अलग अलग पेस में भगा सकता हूँ. नाउ यहाँ पे ऑफकोर्स देयर कैन बी मोर मॉडिफिकेशंस एज टू इसको एवरी फ्रेम चेक करने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. येस करेक्ट, बट द थिंग इज इसको एवरी फ्रेम चेक करने का ज़रूरत है इफ़ योर इनपुट रिक्वायर्स कि तुम लोग भागते भागते शिफ्ट टैप या रिलीज टैप रिलीज वगैरह कर सकते हो. उसके लिए फॉर इफ़ यू वांट टॉगल शिफ्ट, राइट, कि एक बार अगर भागते भागते शिफ्ट होल्ड कर दिया, that is for when you press the shift button when you are actually moving just even once, then you should be continuing at the running pace unless the button is released altogether, right? And then when you run again you should be continuing the walk pace, and if again shift is pressed at any instance it should immediately switch to run pace and should only wait for releasing all the buttons for it to work properly. So whenever this starts, your input starts, after that if you press shift it should work fine, otherwise it should not. So in that case what you can do is you can also use get key down, correct. अभी यहाँ पे there will be one downside कि sure it's going to achieve what we want, right. Now I am going left and right, and as you can see my pace is currently 3, but when I just tap left shift once, oops, my bad, that is मेरे को इसको if में डालना पड़ेगा, right. If this is the case, in that case I want pace will be equals to run pace, correct. Right, so it's only moving for when I'm actually pressing the shift button. So ठीक है, इसका थोड़ा बहुत सेटअप लगाना पड़ेगा I guess. What we can also do is आई गेस इसको गेट बटन डाउन पे भी लगा सकते हैं. लेट्स ट्राई. आई डोंट नो कि बराबर से क्या काम करेगा, बट आई एम डाउन टू एक्सपेरिमेंट. एंड ठीक है. फॉर व्हेन वी गेट बटन डाउन हॉरिजॉन्टल, आई ऑल्सो वांट टू सी कि इफ मैंने लेफ्ट शिफ्ट प्रेस किया है कि नहीं, राइट. विच मीन्स एसेंशली द सेम थिंग जो हमने पहले ऊपर चीज़ लिखा था, दैट इज pace would be equals to this condition ternary run pace or walk pace. Now this is in get button down for horizontal. Correct. So I can also move faster and also walk properly. But ठीक. No, actually मेरे को स्टार्टिंग में सब दबा के रखना पड़ेगा. So ठीक है. I think I need to think about how to achieve this. या ठीक है. आई गेस पहले वाला ही रखता. There is also one more thing you can do is if pace का ज़रूरत नहीं है. What is pace? It just gives you current callback on तुम लोग का current speed क्या है. If that is of no requirement, you can also simply use this thing right here. Right, इस तरीके से भी यूज़ कर सकते हो. There is no actual need for pace unless callback चाहिए कि उसका current speed का. Right. I think the callback would be nice as of now, so I'm going to keep pace, but if it is not required, you can get rid of it. So ठीक है. इसके बाद I'll finally move on to animation. यहाँ पे I first require कि इसका animation clip यहाँ पे आना चाहिए. So I'll use the walk animation first, and to not navigate all the way, मैंने एक और project folder या फिर sorry project window open करके रखा हुआ है. We'll go to walk and यहाँ पे सारे के सारे key frames I'll drag and drop onto the animation clip, and at equal distances of 5 this is set properly, and as you can see I'm now able to walk properly as well. And from idle we want it to walk properly. There are two things that we can do. Either we can create a blend tree, or we can just bind all the things together back to back, या जो भी एक दूसरे के साथ bind कर सकते हैं. I think blend tree would be the best approach to go, right? So I'm going to create a new blend tree. This blend tree is going to be called as motion, right? Within this blend tree I'm going to create two fields as of now. First is going to be the idle frame या फिर idle animation clip, and the second one is going to be the walk animation clip. What is the new animation clip? No idea. ठीक है. So the idle and walk is what we require as of now, right? And अपना automated thresholds is what we need to turn off. And one more thing कि let us try to replicate our paces here manually, right? कि walk pace should be kept at 3, as well as जो run animation बनेगा. Wait, where am I creating this animations? Okay, I think I messed up. Animated sprites Allen animations idle, animated sprites Allen animations. Okay, बाय बाय. सो मेरे को इसको यहाँ पे डालना, करेक्ट. एंड एनिमेशन सेलेंट पे वापस से यहाँ पे मेरे को रन ऐड करना है फाइनली. ठीक है. इट कैन गेट क्वाइट कन्फ्यूजिंग नेविगेटिंग थ्रू 25 डिफरेंट फोल्डर्स एंड व्हाट्स नॉट. सो यहाँ पे भी है एलन नोगन रन, एंड ठीक है. cool. Article distances of 5 and यहाँ पे I'll add one more field. I'll use the run field and इसको 6 का threshold देगा because that is exactly what our walk and run pace is supposed to be, right? 036 increments in 3s. ठीक है. So after that मेरे को इसको अपना default layer बनाना and I need to delete everything else from this graph. So ठीक है, I have one single condition for motion, that is the blend tree, and blend tree now requires pace to move our character back and forth. As you can see यहाँ पे preview पे you will be seeing कि it is now animating, right? If we press play on animation, this is what it does. And we can also now check कि इसका speed बराबर है कि नहीं, playback speed. We can increase the playback speed by increasing this properties value right here. That is 2k speed पे if I keep it, this is how she walks, which is very fast. 1.5 में I think it looks fine. Whereas running looks a bit janky क्योंकि हम लोग ने उसका की फ्रेम्स again equally divide के रखेगा. They should be closer, but I think the better approach would be to just increase the playback speed instead. I think this looks great. 2.25, let's see. How about 2.5? Yeah, looks great. ठीक है. Now after that sorry, मेरे को बस एनिमेशन में जाना एंड यहाँ पे आई नीड टू राइट ऑन अपडेट इफ इनपुट डॉट गेट बटन अप, राइट कौन सा, अगेन हॉरिजॉन्टल, विच इज़ अपने को यहाँ पे सेम static directive add करना. And if this is the case, in that case I want my manim dot set float कौन सा था, pace, to turn back to 0f, or else for when I am using the fixed update, right? And for when I am actually holding everything, that is get button. In that case I want to set this to the actual pace value of the controller, that is it is publicly get, right? It is a public get. So यहाँ पे I am just going to write serial field private controller. Alright, so ठीक है, controller will be equals to get component controller, and also will say within the top of controller we'll use an attribute that is require component type of, sorry not here, इधर ही लिखना, I don't know why I went there, type of controller, right? And also animator I guess. Alright, so ठीक है, इसका गेट कंपोनेंट कभी फेल नहीं होगा यहाँ पे. सो वी अश्योर ऑफ दैट और इंश्योर, ठीक है. सो यहाँ पे द पेस विल बी कंट्रोलर डॉट पेस. कूल. नाउ अगेन यू माइट बी आस्किंग कि हाँ यहाँ पे रिपीटेटिव कोडिंग दिख रहा, इट्स द सेम बटन राइट हियर एज वेल एज द सेम फंक्शन राइट हियर, राइट? आई एम राइटिंग द सेम थिंग्स अगेन एंड अगेन. Now this is where I come back to the question that Subhajit asked, right? Should we be using events? In this case yes, right? कि हम लोग को एक और बेस क्लास बना के रखना है जहाँ पे we'll be running this events onto fixed update or onto update and we'll be binding this functions onto that event. Right? So वो updates में सिर्फ एक ही बार invoke होने वाले हैं and instead of running two different updates we can now run everything on one singular update. That would be better. Alright, so ठीक है, अभी के लिए इसको सबसे पहले यहाँ पे एटलीस्ट रन करके रखते हैं, बाद में कोड फिक्स करने पे चाहते हैं, राइट? आई वुड ऑलवेज फिक्स द कोड, राइट? नॉट फिक्सिंग द कोड वुड जस्ट मेक मी डिलीट द प्रोजेक्ट आफ्टर द सेशन, विच इज़ अ बैड थिंग. ठीक है, सो लेट इट लोड. एंड स्वीट एलन पे क्या मैंने कंट्रोलर पास किया, नहीं पास किया. आई जस्ट ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप दिस. आई हैव द कंट्रोलर एंड इट हैज़ द फंक्शन दैट इज अपडेट. बराबर, यहाँ पे सब प्रॉपरली रन होने वाला है. आई प्रेस प्ले. द एनिमेशंस गुड. Yep, the animations work fine. It's one thing कि they don't properly reflect कि they don't justify the values of 3 and 6. I think walk के लिए value of 2 is quite better, I guess, and for running the value of 8 would be better, I guess. Or 6. 6 seems way too slow. I think 8. Yeah, definitely 8. Faster is always better when you are making games. No one wants to play a slow game. So we will be also updating our blend tray information right here, that is 2 to 8. Cool. Now this is the only thing that we have to set manually, right, because it is less of a hassle than coding everything right here, right? So ठीक है, that's fine, correct. So ठीक है. ठीक. One more thing कि I, instead of passing again string literals, for which I created the input handler class, it shouldn't be input handler, it should be something else, right? So abhi ke liye I just write bad name, which I have to change later, right? So ठीक है. Access names like input access. ठीक है, that's fine, not bad. ठीक. And yeah, instead of passing string literals, we need to cache this. So I'm going to create an animator hashes, that is private read only int pace hash equals to animator dot string to hash pace, correct. So I'll use this right here, pace hash instead of passing a string literal every time. So that is much better now. ठीक है. So I have components, I have hashes, and इसको also I need to put it into a components का region, which is just more organized, right? Regions are not bad. I mean, apart from what Stack Overflow has to say, regions are good in Unity especially. So again, I'll be creating one more script that will be called as player events, right? So this is to get rid of the repetitive code. You write code, and when you see the same code getting written twice to serve the same object, now that is where you should know that you are doing wrong, right? अभी यहाँ पे this both classes are serving the same object, that is the ln का controller, right? And the classes or the repeating function I see here are the fixed update, the input get button, and so on, right? Main functions can be excluded, but still we have the same condition here. The same condition that does different stuff, the same condition that still does different stuff. So I guess I should be binding them onto one singular update instead of running two fixed updates, right? Now this is running its own fixed update, this is running its own fixed update. Why don't we just make it composite, right? So this would be better. Again, Subhajit का जो क्वेश्चन था वो यहाँ पे आया वापस. So I'll be using public unity action, right? That is on horizontal hold, right? That is on horizontal hold, I guess. I don't know if it's a good name or not, but whatever. I'll write fixed update के अंदर if input dot get button. Again, I think I need to use this. In that case, I am going to run on horizontal hold invoke what, correct? ठीक. So this is working fine. On button hold horizontal, I guess abhi ke liye I just use this name. I think I need to change the name later. I'm not getting any ideas as of now, so I'll just leave it here, right? And then we have the normal update where we'll use the other stuff, that is on button up underscore horizontal again, right? Which is where I'll use if input dot get button up, again horizontal, we'll use on button up horizontal dot invoke, correct? So instead of doing all of that now, these are still public events, right? And now I just need access or reference to them onto the controller as well as the animation class. Let's start with the controller class first. Controller class में I require serialized field private player events, that is underscore events, right? And within that I would go to the start या फिर on enable function and I'll say events plus equals to horizontal move, that is on private void on move, right? That is on move is what I will be binding right here. Events dot on button hold horizontal on move, या करेक्ट. एंड इसका जो भी कंटेंट था वो चला जाएगा यहाँ पर, राइट? ठीक है. एंड देन वी हैव events dot on button up horizontal. यहाँ पे I just private void reset moment values for now, right? I'll just copy or cut paste this right here. I don't need this as well, and यहाँ पे I'll just say reset moment values. Now after this I also want to unbind them, that is on disable, right? Always unbind them, especially for when you are domain reading enabled. अभी again this events are not static, so ये कुछ issue नहीं देगा, but again global events are usually static, so वहाँ पे that can be issues, so always unbind events, ठीक है? Again bad functions name, I'll think of them. Now I just need to use these things within the animation class, and I don't think I require input access right here. Am I even using it? Yes, I was using it. Alright then. So again, repetitive code is now gone. This is much better. Alright. So we then have animation. Animation should also be using the same player events. I think they should get the highest preferences or have the highest preference, so on the top. And again जैसे we did it on enable and on disable, the same code should be applied right here. Again, you say repetitive code, not really, because we are biting different functions again. So oops, private void on hold for now. And private void on release. On hold and on release is what we have now. Again, not bad. Now we just need one more thing. We need to bind player events to this class and make sure कि ये top पे. It's not really required कि ये top पे रहना चाहिए. It can be on the bottom as well, but still, right? So यहाँ पे we can bind all of the events or both of the events within this classes, and if we press play, is it still working just fine? Yep. Alright, that's great. So animation with this would not be required, correct? And controller with this is required. Cool. Now there is just one more thing that I need to think of, that is the class names and function names and variable names, because they are going to bother me a lot if I don't change them right now. Alright, so also one more thing, do I really require two different events in here, or can I just on horizontal button or whatever just one function and they can be invoked differently with different values? Yeah, we can use that. We can definitely use that. If you have ever experienced in the input system, it passes info. Info has a value as an enum as to necessitate passwords. Alright, so maybe I just require one single event or one single action, and I do require an extra event, that is public enum action, right? That is input action. Right, that is hold, release, or pressed. Correct. Now, I require this function to be named as on horizontal button, right? And this is going to use a generic type, that is input action. No. Oops, sorry, गलत जगह पे लिख रहा हूँ मैं. lol. Input action. Yeah. ठीक है. So I'll use this and I'll use this, and to invoke within here I am going to pass the hold value, and within here I am going to pass the released value, right? Pressed or released. Alright, so now we have the same functions but with different actions. So that is much better, right? Because again अपने जो base classes है वहाँ पे भी हम लोग we can just write one thing, that is switch. Oops, it must also use player events dot input action context as of now. right? That is switch context case hold. In that case I want to do all of this, right? And for when the case is released, I want to do other stuff such as this. So I don't really require two functions, and instead of switch I guess मैं if else भी use कर सकता, which would be better for readability I guess, right? If hold, in that case you write all of this again if you don't want to use switch, right? That is, if context is this value, else if, you can also write context is released. In that case you can just write this again. I guess ज़्यादा readable होता है switch से, but still whatever you prefer. Alright, so we have this on move, that is events pay. We have on horizontal button, right? That is movement. Nice, right? And the same thing is what we can do within again the animations panel, right? That is मूवमेंट. यहाँ पे भी कोइंसिडेंटली सेम फंक्शन का नाम दे रहे हैं हम लोग. एंड आई गेस सिग्नेचर भी कॉपी कर ही लेता हूँ मैं कंट्रोलर से. सो ठीक है. इफ context is hold, in that case I'm going to use this. Else if context is released, in that case I'm going to use this, right? ठीक है. Now there is one better way we can write this exact thing right here, right? We can also use m.set float. We can use space hash, and instead of passing the values directly, what we can use is context switch, right? And here I am going to write, if it is hold, I am going to use the value that is controller.pace, right? Or else I am going to use that is for when it is released only, alright? Not when pressed करने में मेरे को 0 नहीं चाहिए. That is released, I still want to use 0f, correct? That's it. So again, this is a better way of writing it. Now one more thing, again input actions player events पे नहीं आने चाहिए. So I guess input actions को मैं उठा के यहाँ पे डाल दूँगा, right? It's owning them. It doesn't needs to be, or it doesn't require to be in any of the class. So we can just get rid of player events from everywhere, and it's going to just look better. right? जिधर भी एरर दिख रह जाओ, निकालो, टैब दबाओ. यूनिट ये कल तक विजुअल स्टूडियो खुद हेल्प करेगा निकालने के लिए. Switch statement does not handle all possible outcomes. In that case, I'm just going to write if default, then throw new not system dot not implemented exception by अभी के लिए, because I don't really want to throw a value of or pass out a value of 0. Hey, no, but really, what if this is executed? ठीक है, डजेंट मैटर, वी विल जस्ट इग्नोर द वार्निंग एज ऑफ नाउ. श्योर रिलीज प्रेस करने में भी कुछ चेंजेस करना पड़ सकता है हम लोग को, राइट? स्विच बोलता है कि एक और वैल्यू डाल के रखो मिसिंग केस पे वगैरह जो भी है. सो व्हाटएवर. ऑल्सो सिंस वी आर using it like this, we can still use a single line right? And if you want, you can also go up and say using static input actions, in which case you don't even have to use the prefix, in which case the line even gets a little shorter if तुम लोग को ऐसा नहीं चाहिए कि पूरा ओवरफ्लो होने लगे, राइट? आई मीन चलेगा, कुछ फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता इसका, एक स्टैटिक डेरिवेटिव डाल के रखा, दैट्स फाइन, करेक्ट. सो वी हैव होल्ड, वी हैव रिलीज्ड. प्रेस्ट के लिए वी डोंट हैव एनीथिंग राइट नाउ विच इज़ वाई इट इज शोइंग अप द ग्रीन लाइन, बट ठीक है, बाद में देख लेता, करेक्ट. सो वी कैन ऑल्सो यूज दिस इन अ लैम्बडा फॉर नाउ, बट आई थिंक दिस इज़ नॉट ऑल, राइट? और भी कुछ आ सकता है यहाँ पे. सो आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू गेट इट, मैं इसको जस्ट निकाल दूँगा अभी के लिए, राइट. नाउ देयर इज द अदर थिंग दैट इज ऑन हॉरिजॉन्टल बटन के अंदर वी कैन ऑल्सो यूज़ गेट की के लिए एक इवेंट बना के रख सकते हैं, बट आई डोंट थिंक दैट इज नेसेसरी, राइट? सो जो भी पेज हम लोगों को मिला सब बराबर चल रहा है, सो आई डोंट थिंक कि इस इनपुट को वी नीड टू बी एबल टू कंट्रोल्ड, और वी शुड बी कंट्रोलिंग वाया player events, right? So again, this is a weird name because player events is a bad name, so I'm just going to name it events. That is basically player events, right? That is player.events. Nothing has changed. It's just that कि बार बार उसको again prefix नहीं देना पड़ेगा. Single word type names are the best, right? So ठीक है, यहाँ पे यू कैन सी इसका फाइल नेम भी चेंज हो गया सिंस मैंने कंट्रोल आर से उसका नाम चेंज किया. दैट ऑल्सो सेज कि रीनेम सिम्बल्स फाइल, सो दैट चेंजेस स्टफ. एंड क्या मेरा चैट फिर से बंद होगा कि क्या हुआ? ऑलराइट, ओके, नो वन हैज स्टॉप्ड. सो या, एवरीथिंग लुक्स फाइन नाउ, राइट? स्पेशली अपना कंट्रोलर जहाँ पे अपना इवेंट्स वगैरह बाइंडेड है एंड अपना मूवमेंट में उसको सब दे रहा है. एनी क्वेश्चंस सो फार? यप, इसका नाम चेंज करना, दैट्स द ओनली थिंग रिमेनिंग, राइट? कहाँ गया? Rotation on flip. And also, since this is float, we must use float to avoid implicit conversion because this is int32 literal, right? So f लिखना better रहेगा because वो implicit conversion avoid करेगा. So ठीक है, rotation on flip के बदले we'll just write backward, right? In that case, I also ought to introduce forward, which is default, but ठीक है, I guess ये थोड़ा better naming देगा, right? If it is greater than 0, then I want to go forward, or else I want to go backward. Okay, so ये थोड़ा proper reading देता इसको कैश करने से, ठीक है, not an issue. Then I don't think अभी समरी का ज़रूरत है बिकॉज आई मीन समरी का चाहिए, फॉरवर्ड बैकवर्ड इतना क्लियरली स्टेट किया हुआ हम लोग ने, राइट? सो ठीक है, आई गेस आई एम एट अ गुड पॉइंट राइट नाउ. ओके, जब सब कोलैप्स करने में भी समझ जाना चाहिए कि किधर क्या है. Cool. ठीक है, सो अगेन मैं आई गेस 5 to 10 मिनट्स का ब्रेक लूँगा बिकॉज इट्स बिन 1 hour सबसे मैं कंटिन्यूसली बोले जा रहा हूँ. आई गेस वाई इजंट इट अवेलेबल? ओके, सो फॉर सम रीजन्स ब्रेक वाला स्लाइड नहीं है, सो यू मस्ट गो आउट विद अ ब्लैक स्क्रीन एंड मैं कैमरा यहाँ पे छोड़ के चलता सो डैट यू नो कि स्ट्रीम ग्लिच नहीं हुआ, राइट? आई जस्ट वॉक अप एंड Come back in 5 minutes. बाय बाय. इफ़ हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस कमेंट में डाल के रखो, मैं आते वक्त वो क्लियर करूँगा. ऑलराइट. Hello. I mean, hello. A minute. Okay, that was weird. ठीक है. Um, yeah, I have Unity, I have Visual Studio, I have OBS right here, and मेरा स्क्रीन वापस आ जाना चाहिए यहाँ पे. Correct. Cool. Huh. So now we want to make more actions to her, or we want to add more actions to her. For now, she just moves left and right with really good base, and animation we follow the right. Animation is pretty simple. The script I say. So now let's try to make her jump. Okay. So ठीक है. For jumping, I require to add an animation to her within this directory. I always get confused in the directory, and I'm going to name this clip as elevate. Right. For when I elevate in here, I already have another project panel. I'll use the jump thingy and I'll add half of the frames here. The thing is, I don't want each and every thing onto elevation. For elevate is for when the character is going up. I guess these frames are just fine. Right, this is fine. After this point, well, this is elevate. Now, after elevate, I want to create yet another animation clip. That is, first of all, I also need to see कि कहाँ तक मैंने लिया हुआ है as animation. That is frame number 9 तक लिया. That is up to jump 09 are occupied. So if I'm going to create a falling animation or a elevate animation, I must be using clips that are after frame number 9. That is from frame number 10 or whatever. So I'll create a new clip and I'll say falling. Okay, actually in that case I should be naming this clip as elevating. Elevating, is that a word? I don't know. I don't think I care. So falling पे I'll add frame number 10 to 19. But is it all a part of falling? No, I guess this is the landing part. So from here and out, this are the only falling frames. That is great. Now I also want one more thing, key elevating and falling should both be turned off for looping, right? And within the animator I want to delete them as for now. Okay, so take care. Now I just want to have an input for when the character is jumping. That is, I want to make her jump. For that I'll be using the controller class and movement के टॉपिक पर आया ये चीज़ I guess. I'll be creating a public float strength. Alright, and for the strength I'll be using the jump function, that is private void jump. Okay, that is rigid body dot add force, right? So for us to be able to do that, हम लोग को यहाँ पे rigid body का reference देना पड़ेगा, and I'll use rigid body 2D that says body या फिर m underscore body, right? या फिर m underscore rigid body, anything is fine. Yeah, so ठीक है. When we have that, इसको reset पे I would like to cache. Cool. So after caching that, we can now use m underscore rigid body dot add force at vector2 dot up into strength with a force of impulse. Right now, as per extending or being allowed to give out an extension code rather than a modifiable code, I'll be storing it up onto a local variable, that is force. Right, force would be a new vector2 where x would be 0f and y would be strength. Right, so I'll pass the force and impulse. Now there is one more thing. Okay, sure, I have strength, but it's going to jump for whenever I press the spacebar button, which is what I need to write in events. Right, so this input should also go into update. I'm going to create yet another public unity action, and I'm going to write on space down. Right, that is basically on jump. ठीक है, and that is on move. I guess इसको इस तरीके से नाम देता है. I think that would be much better. And I'm going to write if input dot get key down key code dot space and it on jump invoke. Correct. Now there are two things. First of all, अभी अपडेट में अगेन सुबह किसने पूछा था वो क्वेश्चन, सुभजीत, यस, सॉरी अगर मैं नाम गलत दे रहा हूँ तो, कि यहाँ पे अपडेट एक्सपेंसिव है, राइट, उसने मेंशन किया था. श्योर, अभी यहाँ पे इस अपडेट पे देयर आर 2 कंडीशन चेक्स एवरी सिंगल फ्रेम, that is 400 times in 1 second, or even 800 times in per 1 second. So इसको हाइड करने के लिए what we can do is if input dot any key, right, that is not any key, in that case return. But is this going to work fine, because हम लोग यहाँ पे एक बटन अब भी चेक कर रहे हैं, right? So no, if not any key, क्या अपना रिलीज बटन काम कर रहा, we need to first check that. If वो काम नहीं करना, then we just have to make with what we have. No, रिलीज बटन नहीं चल रहा है यहाँ पे. श्योर, बट अगेन वो लोग ने कुछ दिया नहीं रिलीज बटन के लिए, एनी की एंड एनी की डाउन दिया. देयर इज नो property that resembles any key up for some reasons. Alright, so let's just get rid of that plan, and यहाँ पे we have this on jump, right? So we have on movement पे we have movement, and यहाँ पे भी we have movement, right? And then we have underscore events dot on jump will add the jump function, which is great. I will unbind the jump function as well, and within this jump function I have written key I want to go up, I want to add force to this body, but this is a very basic jumping formula. What I will be using is character controller का formula जो लोग यूज़ करते हैं apparently, that can be applied to rigid body as well. Sure, and null reference exception, that's because I failed to add rigid body onto the controller because मैंने script reset नहीं किया, and also my character has no strength, so she is not going to jump. Yeah, now she has some strength. Again, the jump looks very bad. ठीक है, I aim to fix that. I aim to create the best jump out there. So ठीक है, in order to first get the best jump, I instead of getting the strength, I want to first get jump height. Right? I don't want her strength कि क्या strength से jump करेगा. I want to specify the height at which the character wants to jump. So I'll be renaming this variable to jump height. Correct. So after I get this jump height, I want to use a formula, that is the formula for height. ओके, ये बहुत ही कॉमन फार्मूला जो कैरेक्टर कंट्रोलर के टाइम यू विल बी सीइंग कि मैनी पीपल यूज to jump in a 3D character controller, and this is a very basic formula. This just gives us height, alright, where h is height, v is velocity, that is v raised to 2 divided by 2 times gravity, that is g, right. Now the thing is, we do want height, what we require is velocity, right. So velocity निकालने के लिए क्या आएगा, 2g h का स्क्वायर रूट इक्वल्स v, करेक्ट, क्योंकि इसको इधर लेके गया, फिर इसका स्क्वायर निकालने के लिए स्क्वायर रूट बन जाएगा, एंड सो ऑन, बेसिक मैथ्स. सो बेसिकली v इज स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ 2 times gravity into height. I need to remember that, I guess. So basically we have this as mathf dot square root of 2f into gravity into height, right. So we have physics 2d dot gravity dot y into jump height. Cool. Also one more thing, since I am using gravity dot y, I also want to multiply it with m underscore rigid body dot gravity scale into m underscore rigid body dot mass. So this entire thing is essentially gravity. Okay, no, not mass, sorry. Gravity scale ही चाहिए था. This entire thing is now a gravity scale. This is the default gravity जो अपने project settings में पड़ा हुआ रहता है, and gravity scale जो इस पर मैं modify कर सकता हूँ. By default the value of gravity scale is 1, so unless I change that, कुछ effect नहीं होने वाला. But अगर इसको change करने पे affection नहीं होने के लिए, it's better to multiply it right here, so that gravity, when it's modified, we have the updated gravity value, right, and we also have the jump height, which is great. राइट. सो ठीक है, इंस्टेड ऑफ मूवमेंट मैं इसको यहाँ पे बोल सकता हूँ कि दिस इज जंप, दैट इज आई कैन चेंज दिस वेरिएबल इनटू हाइट. कूल. अभी अगेन देयर विल बी कन्फ्यूजन्स एज टू व्हाट हाइट इज इट सपोज टू बी. फॉर नाउ द हेडर सेज जंप, बट ठीक है, अगर आगे जाके मेरे को एक और कुछ हाइट ऐड करना पड़ेगा, देन इट वुड बी अ बैड डिज़ाइन. बट ठीक है, नाउ आई एम विलिंग टू रिस्क इट फॉर नाउ. सो वी हैव दिस फोर्स and we have the rigid body add force function. So yeah, looks great. So now when I press and if I specify any height, ouch, okay, let's say I specify a height of 4. For now, where is the character Alan situated? That is a negative 2.2. What is negative 2.2 plus 4? Oops, I forgot to attach rigid body, I think. What? Oh, yes. Negative gravity. My bad. Okay, because gravity ka value already negative hai, and I cannot just, push her downwards. I want to push her upwards. Correct? So basically, we require, instead of negative gravity, it would be best key I was clear using mathf.absolute gravity. Right, that is more precise and more clear. Right, negative 2.2 plus 4 is positive 2.2, so it reaches that height almost, or positive 1.8, I don't know. Yeah, no, it seems to be reaching positive 2 almost. ठीक है, basically it's working, our jump function is working just fine. Now I can determine कि कौन से height पे कितना height तक she should be jumping, right, from where she is beginning. If she is beginning from negative 2, so upon jumping she should be touching point, or sorry, not point 2, just 2, the value of 2, right. अभी of course यहाँ पे अपने को value of 2 नहीं इतने वाला, because इसका pivot is at the bottom, right. So this value plus 1, because इसका capsule का size is 1, size is 2, alright. So 2 units नीचे आने वाला है almost. राइट, एंड ऑफसेट भी 1 दिया हुआ है, देन आई गेस एक ही यूनिट नीचे आने वाला है. सो अगेन, so size minus offset, that is 1, so instead of going to 2 or 2.2, it's going to reach 1.2 or something like that, around there, right, approximately. So ठीक है. Okay, if you can see with a smaller value as well, let's say 1. Alright, so -2 पे 1 ऐड करेंगे तो कहाँ मिलेगा, -1.2. Alright, is it going to -1.2? Yes. Again, if we keep on adding more values, it's going to also reflect that. And yes, character गिर रही है बार बार, I am aware of that. उसको solve करने के लिए we use constraint पे freeze rotation. Alright, so ठीक है. Within here, we now are able to perfectly make our character jump without animations, right? But again, the important thing is she is jumping, right? If इसको चाहिए तो gravity को वगैरह अलग अलग वेरिएबल में डाल सकते हैं if required. Alright, you can post this as gravity and यहाँ पे लगा सकते हैं. बट अगेन दिस इज़ यूजलेस बिकॉज ग्रेविटी को कोई चेंज करने वाला नहीं. सो उसको एक्सपोज करके मतलब नहीं है उसको चेंज के लिए, राइट. फोर्स समवन कैन चेंज, समवन कैन ऐड टू द फोर्स. लेट्स अगर कोई बंदा आता है उसको एक कोड चेंज करना है, यू कैन गो लाइक ओके फोर्स प्लस इक्वल्स टू 1. मेरे को फोर्स में बस 1 का वैल्यू ऐड कर देना था, मैंने वो कर दिया, दैट्स फाइन, राइट. या फिर वेक्टर 3.1, वेक्टर 2.1, वट एवर, राइट. That is, force is extensible. The gravity shouldn't be extensible because gravity का वैल्यू कोई चेंज करना नहीं चाहिए. So, of course यहाँ पे भी जाके कोई चेंज कर सकता है, but again that would be foolish. When we write it in a variable, that is, we are giving it an open invitation to other developers who are watching this code to be able to modify gravity, which is not something that we want. Right. So again, as to what you put into a local variable and what is placed where, how things are named are again a ways of communicating with other developers who don't know you but might be reading your code. Alright. So ठीक है, I have jump and I'll be back in 1 minute. Yes, I'm back. So about animations, I must be creating a private void jump and binding it like I did when in the controller, the exact same way. Alright, and within the jump I now want to write stuff. For now, the jump function is just executed once, that is for one single frame. That is for when I decide what variable to change. उसके लिए मेरे को यहाँ पे एनिमेटर पे I need to make a system that is elevating and falling or whatever. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to create a substrate machine and I'm going to name this jump instead, right? And then within this jump there is another set of any state entry and exit nodes, which is what we need to ignore for now. And entry pay I want it to be elevating at first, right? Elevating, so it's going to go to falling for when the velocity is decreased, that is vertical CT, yeah, that is for when the vertical velocity goes below 0. that is no exit time, and I'm going to write out कि vertical under condition कि vertical velocity should be less than negative 0.01 and floating values, and falling say it should go back to the state machine, that is the base layer, that is के entry point पे जाना चाहिए, not directly motion. For that we want a boolean, that is s grounded, correct. So this is where we write if s grounded is true. In that case we go back out there, or else for when is grounded is false, that is when we go back or go into jump, right. So it's grounded false, okay, we go into jump say we go to elevating by we get our vertical velocity, we go to falling, and falling say we come back to the base layer. What happens when we find the ground for when we are elevating? So I'm going to make yet another transition to base layer, and this is going to be called if is grounded is true, then I'll write go back to directly base layer, right. So we have something like this. Cool. Again, this is way less complicated because of uses of blend trees as well as substrate machines, right. So if we want to add more animations, more amount of animations for actions in every other sequences, we are free to do so, right. This is how an animator should be designed. Oops. Scroll wheel. What is scroll wheel, my friend? Okay. So within here jump के अंदर I'll say first of all I need hashes, right, for vertical velocity as well as grounded, right. That is vertical velocity hash is equals to animator dot string to hash whatever value. Then we have s grounded hash equals to the same thing. Instead of we use an end of line, that is हम लोग यहाँ से वही सेम स्ट्रिंग्स उठा लेता, Ctrl C Ctrl V, easy. Alright, so ठीक है, जंप करने पे I'll just say m underscore anim dot set bull is grounded hash to false. That's it for now, I guess. And also controller पे I think इसका पूरा rigid body के बदले I can just write m underscore body. That is much shorter, right. So ठीक है, I guess इसका reference निकल गया रहेगा, which is quite expected. So I'll just put it back, right. We have events, we have controllers, we have everything else. ठीक है. अभी के लिए एनिमेशन से कंट्रोलर एनिमेटर का रिक्वायरमेंट है, बट ऐसे इवेंट्स का भी रिक्वायरमेंट रहना चाहिए. कंट्रोलर एंड एनिमेशन बोथ शुड बी रिक्वायरिंग इवेंट्स, राइट, दैट इज प्लेयर इवेंट्स. सो मैं वो भी चीज़ ऐड कर दिया टू बी रियली एक्सप्लिसिट अबाउट एवरीथिंग एल्स, दैट इज इट रिक्वायर्स events, that is untitled player events, right. Animation would also require events, right, and then it also then further requires other types. Such as controller as well as animator, and this now requires rigid body, correct. Bruh. Actually this is fine, right. Cool. Yeah, all's working fine. अभी ये क्या बोल रहा है मेरे को, it is assigned but it's never ready. Yes bro, I intend to use it. Alright, so yeah. right? So I'll just say is grounded is true. When I jump, you can see उसका animation change होता है. Now we need to set this perfectly. सबसे पहले इसका elevating का speed अपने को बढ़ाना है, that is 2. इन falling का भी speed बढ़ा कर रखते, that is 2. Right? So again when I press jump again, and also animator को नीचे डाल देता ताकि we are able to see it side by side. Actually with along with this variables right here, इस grounded को manually true करता है and we jump. It keeps on working fine. यहाँ पे मेरे को टिक क्यों दिख रहा पुराना वाला? Okay, something new I guess. Alright, not bad. I guess इसको मेरे को अभी भी 3 करना चाहिए, इसको 2 करने देता, बाद में देखते हैं इसका. Right. So now we need to create a ground check. Again the best way to create a ground check is by using casting, right? But again casting issues देखा because हम लोगों ने यहाँ पे composite collider use किया, so we'll have to be really careful about casting everything else. So ठीक है. So किधर गया? Casting should be done within controller because it would be the part of the controller to get कि उसका ground values क्या है क्या नहीं and so on. So ठीक है. I am again going to create one more header. This will be called as misc. Right. अबे misc के अंदर I am going to create oh sorry, private layer mask that is ground layers. Alright, so we can define ground layers here, and I'm going to create a property that is going to say public is bool is grounded or not. This is going to be a getter only, and I'm going to return physics 2d dot physics 2d dot क्या बोलते हैं, raycast, right? Raycast allocated. Origin would be at transform dot position. Oops. Direction would be negative transform dot up, correct? And distance should be up to 0.2 f I guess, whereas layer mask should be ground layers, correct? And yeah, that's it. So for now this is it, right? I just want to check if it is working just fine or not. So if info layers is not equals to null, in that case if info, alright, in that case I want key print info dot collider dot new, correct? So ठीक है, and for me to check it continuously I am going to be running it on update temporarily. Alright, this is temporary. मैं इसको से update में print करके देखूँगा कि if it is working fine or not. हाँ ठीक है. हाँ, oops, I did one mistake. Ground layers तो सेट किए नहीं है मैंने. Nice one. So ground को सबसे पहले ground का ले लेना. That's it. Switch element पे जाके we need to assign ground layers to the value of ground, and then we press play. Right, it is not detecting ground perfectly, and when I jump it goes to false. When I come back it is now false as well as grounded. What? Okay, so is it ever printing true? Okay, no, I am returning false. My bad. I should be returning info instead. Yes, correct. Okay, true and ground. Nothing. True and ground. Works fine. ठीक है. So this is working just fine. But the thing is, this recast is just one single recast on bottom of this centroid. Right, so we want to offset it. We want to have two recast. For now, if I go to again update के अंदर and I say debug dot draw ray, right, it's going to be starting from over here, and the direction is this multiplied by distance, and then if I pass color dot red, this is what you are going to see. You are going to see the line, the recast line. Right. So if I go to scene, as you can see, यहाँ पे एक रेड कलर का लाइन बन रहा है. You can also see it in gizmos. ठीक है. It's okay. Right. So we can see this recast. जब वो ग्राउंड पे आता है, ग्राउंड के कोलाइडर पे जाने डिटेक्ट्स द ग्राउंड परफेक्टली. सो ठीक है, इट इज़ एट अ सेंटर. इसका इशू क्या है? इज फॉर व्हेन यू गो टुवर्ड्स एन एज. Again, you ask box cast कर सकते हैं, लेकिन box cast में we don't really require top and bottom face, so it would be better just to two singular recasts. Alright, so let's say अगर मैं इसको scene पे लेके जाता हूँ. Alright, अभी क्या scene के edge पे वो, I mean this should be oops, कहाँ तक है ground इसका? अच्छा ठीक है, but you get the point, right? यहाँ पर it is false, but the thing is she is grounded because she is not falling in eternity. So again, to be able to solve that, अपने को दो recast करने पड़ेंगे to both at different offsets. So ठीक है, not an issue, not a big issue. What we'll do is just we'll duplicate this, and we have info 1 and info 2, right? We'll still be returning false as of now. And यहाँ पे we just need to change two things. First of all, I'm going to create a mess के अंदर I'm going to create a serialized field, private float detection distance, right? That is, the default value should be 0.2f, which is what I'll be passing right here. So everything is a variable and nothing is hard coded as of now. And within this recasts, I will be requiring some offsets, right? So the offset value should be where offset should be vector 3 dot right into 0.1f. Correct. Let's assume that is the offset. So I'm just going to write plus offset minus offset, which is where I write exactly this. That is minus offset, right? So we have this. So if I press play now, I should be seeing two different lines. Okay, where are the lines? इंटरेस्टिंग. ओके, डिटेक्शन डिस्टेंस मैंने एक्चुअली पास किया है वैल्यू, राइट? ओके, 0.2. ऑलराइट, आगे लाइन्स यहाँ पे, राइट? सो आई कैन हैव डिटेक्शन डिस्टेंस ऑफ स्मॉलर एंड बिगर वैल्यूज. ठीक है, सो ठीक है, this is the difference, but what should be the real difference, right? The difference should be something else. So first of all, detection radius को मैं यहाँ पे, sorry, detection distance को I'll provide one more attribute, that is min, that is का value 0 के नीचे नहीं जाना चाहिए, and then I'll again get out a public float temp, right? That is the offset value as of now अभी के लिए, राइट? जस्ट टू चेक कि क्या वैल्यू जाना चाहिए, क्या नहीं जाना चाहिए. सो आई विल गो बैक हियर एंड ठीक है, विल सी. यूनिटी, यस, थैंक यू. आई प्रेस प्ले एंड मेरा अभी ऑफसेट 0. सो बोथ द लाइन्स शुड बी इन वन पेज ऑफ नाउ. I just need to check कि कौन सा वैल्यूज पे जाना चाहिए, and if that value resembles to anything, as per my experience, that value should resemble something within the colliders, right? So ठीक है, temp को मैं दूर लेके जाता है. the value is 0.25, right? That is half of size, which is great, which is exactly what we want. Correct, half of size. So ठीक है, so it's time to get yet another reference, that is capsule collider 2D, that is am underscore capsule. Correct, and capsule के अंदर से we'll just write कि this offset should be half of size. ठीक है, so yep, I am going to create a where position will be equal to transform dot position, correct? And before doing the first raycast, I am going to write position dot x plus equals to whatever the value was, m underscore capsule underscore कौन सा था, size x, right? Size, what happened? No size? What? Wait, what? Yeah, I know. Why isn't it giving me any size? Okay, ये कब हुआ? Huh? What? What the hell? What did I do, man? Okay, I hope मैंने कुछ mess up नहीं किया. Alright, size.x divided by 2f. Again, so we know division is bad. Okay, if you are bound about performance, then always instead of dividing by 2, multiply with 0.5, which is better in some cases, depending on what processor your CPU or what processor the hardware has, right? So yeah, this is better. So before doing this, I am going to pass this into here, and then I'm going to use this position right here, right? And then after that, I'm going to say position dot x minus equals to the same thing, right? That is यहाँ पे आएगा transform dot position dot x plus this and then we'll say transform.position.x minus this value, right? That is size, that is basically offset. Right, and then we'll execute info2, right, which will also be using the same position variable. Alright, so ठीक है. So after that we say return leftmost and rightmost. Just a minute. So we have the leftmost and rightmost detection. I guess I think the names can be better. That's info underscore left, or we can say info underscore right, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so this is what we return when we check if the character is grounded or not. Alright, so okay. And also after doing all that, we'll just name this alright. Now depth is something else, that is why my distance is here, right? Because depth करके यहाँ पे we also see there is something called as min depth and max depth, right? That is कहाँ तक जाना चाहिए and so on. So instead I'll just do one more thing. I'll say serialized field private bull debug race, right? So I'm going to go to update and I'll say if debug race, then I'm going to draw all of this, alright, within updates, or I can also draw them within on draw gizmos, right? If on draw gizmos पे ये allowed है, I don't know. I'll just check. Is this allowed or is this not allowed? Alright. If debug race, in that case only I want to debug this. Alright, so ठीक है. Again repetitive code, yes, but in a different context. हाँ ठीक है, it's fine. आई गेस ऑफसेट का एक और वेरिएबल बना के रख सकते हो. Right, instead of creating offset all the time, we can have, no, since we are not using grounded all the time as well, right? Or maybe we are. In that case, I'll write private float offset. Right. Horizontal offset, and this value will be set onto the start function. That horizontal offset will be equals to this value, correct? And we can get rid of it here, and we can just use horizontal offset instead, correct? Within is grounded as well. राइट, यहाँ पे इतना ज़रूरत है, बट यहाँ पे when drawing debug race, I guess what we can do is we can say transform dot position plus new, जहाँ पे x vector 3, जहाँ पे x is horizontal offset, correct, and y is 0f. Right, so we don't really require local variables in here. We can just do so by this, which is, I guess it's better. And यहाँ पे just minus के साथ the same चीज़. If minus के साथ नहीं करना, then we can add minus right here as well. Right, both are the same thing. I guess यहाँ पे कर देना चाहिए. Correct. So again, we have this, I guess. ये क्या बोल रहा है कि cannot be applied to new float all right. ठीक है. Yeah, on draw gizmo square we can create new vector 3 every frame because editor function anyways, it doesn't matter here. Alright, and यहाँ पे local variable चाहिए because I don't want to create a new vector 3 for passing on both infos, right? So ठीक है, editor function में we handle it differently. We handle it to write less code, and यहाँ पे it doesn't matter कि कोड कितना बड़ा आएगा, we just handle it to work or perform better. That's the difference. Oof. Alright. Yeah, code editor has not been assigned. No short. Alright then. Okay, मैं जैसे मैं debug race on करता हूँ, as you can see, I can see कि क्या race क्या depth पे जा रहे हैं, and I can also use debug race on edit mode, right? But again, edit mode पे it's not going to get the horizontal offset, so that's a shame actually. Okay, if that's the shame, then I don't think हम देखो इसको I don't think we require a global variable for this, correct? In that case, where offset again the same thing, if that were to happen, हाँ ठीक है, we'll just use this reverting only this part, and I guess debug race should be on top. Yeah, correct. Schizophrenic, hypomanic, this sense of the pain. Yep. So अभी इसका फ़ायदा क्या आएगा कि we can also debug race on edit mode and we can just see कि detection radius कितना दूर तक जाएगा and whatever the offset can be we can decide it for ourselves. Right. अभी offset usually size determine करता है, so more the size more the offset as you can see. Correct. So that's the thing. ठीक है. That's great. Alright. So we have is grounded. Finally. And now we also want to implement this on our jump. So I'm going to write if not is grounded. Return. Right. I'll be using the guard clause. And ठीक है. I only want to jump for when I am actually on the ground. For now it is detecting the ground perfectly. Right. Let me go back to Unity, and it is taking a lot of time after I've read it from now. Right. I think I need to restart Unity to reset all the memory leaks or whatever. Okay, so if I now press or spam spacebar, it won't be jumping. If you can hear it on my mic, right? I am only jumping once, even though I am pressing spacebar multiple times. It's all because of this condition. Now I just want my character to reflect this animations, right? So ठीक है, इस कैरेक्टर को एनिमेशन से रिफ्लेक्ट करना है, उसके लिए व्हाट वी कैन डू इज ऑन जंप करने के टाइम I might be required to use update within here, right? So that is if the character isn't grounded, right? In that case, that is if m underscore sorry if m underscore body, right? Now the thing is I don't have body, that is the rigid body is a part of the controller, right? Which is not something that I want. I have components here as well, that is animator and other things, but again it would be better if they were exposed. So what I'm going to do is I can create another base class where I keep a hold of its controllers and everything, or of its components and everything, or I can expose them within controller here. So this is eventually getting the controller, right? So I can access the rigid body from the controller. Again, it's a very long process, so I think it would be just better to create a base class whatsoever, right? So ठीक है, main scripts, components, right? So the meaning of this class is just to get or cache literally all the generic components, nothing else, correct? And they need to be public. Of course, the namespace should also be untitled dot player, because these are components of the player, right? And also from here as well, including the transform. Yes. So let's organize them in an order. The first is always transform, right? The second is rigid body, third word should be the collider, and fourth should be the animator. And all of this within the reset function is what needs to exist, right? So reset function के अंदर will get rid of this two right here, and we'll put it onto components right here, Alright, so the reset function is of no use within the controller class. What about the animation class? यहाँ पे we do require reset for the controller, but ठीक है, that's fine I guess. So यहाँ पे we have it for anim. And what about the collider, my friend? Okay, collider के लिए मैंने use ही नहीं किया. Nice one. And capsule equals to get component capsule collider to do. That's fine, right? That's done, kind of. So within the animation, since I am no longer using all of this, right, I think I should be now using the awake function instead, right? And I'll be using the null coalescing if the value is a null, right? That's it. If I am using awake, then I don't really need serialized field. If I don't need serialized field, then I can also get rid of coalescing, right? As well as the same for events, right? Because why keep adding unrequired things to the inspector, right? So alright, now we also have room for private components, right? Now component is going to be get components correct. Will also require this. अभी के लिए आई डोंट थिंक मेरे को रिक्वायरमेंट पे ज़्यादा जाना चाहिए. इट्स गेटिंग अ लिटिल बिट कन्फ्यूजिंग, सो आई विल रीफैक्टर दैट लेटर, राइट? सो अभी के लिए आई जस्ट गो टू कंपोनेंट्स एंड आई विल से components dot m anim, correct? Components dot m anim, fine. Same with the controller class. Oops, in which case I ought to put this right here. And use the awake function. Wait. Yep. Omelette is empty, sure. We'll get rid of. अच्छा नहीं, ये चाहिए मेरे को अभी के लिए. Alright. Alright, controller animation movement में यहाँ पे सब आ गया अपने पास. Now just need to add controller to the character as well. Sorry, components to the character as well. Bapre, the amount of confusion I am in. Alright, components के ऊपर we have events, then we have controller and we have animation in perfect order. Correct. This is going to store all of our component. It's going to store all of our events. It's going to store all of our controller variables and the animation variables. That is perfect division. ठीक है. इसके that is after this. I just want to check if it works fine or not after all this. Right, so I just go to animator and I'll make her grounded. Right, the animation seems to be working. Everything else works just fine. Great. What? Capsule size is not set. It is set. What the hell? Why? It says components. Oh, the components are not set. All right then. Nice one. Yeah. The components are not set. Correct. Controller also uses ontrogismos. Correct. If it is using ontrogismos, then it must also have reference to all the components. The thing is, it isn't able to find the component. Huh. So, after all, should we make the component only serializable or serialize it, or we can just also use cache component? We can also cache component. That's also a valid option, I guess. I don't know. Take care. Or we can also use or move on trogismos to update, so it doesn't run on edit time. Right. But we do want it on edit time, right? So in that case, I'll just have to write get component here as well using the null coalescing. That is one way of doing it for now. Right. So it is now drawing the race if turned on. Okay. So I guess in this case controllers को serialize mark के रखता है, and the coalescing get component should be done on awake instead. Right, we're only serializing components because it is dependent for ontrogismos to run properly or to function properly. So for when we don't have the value onto components, we also want if debug race and underscore components. Right, we do want that this value should not be equals to null. That is, we can also write this. Okay, but that is just going to mess with offset if offset is not going to null, because this is now a nullable. Okay, I don't want it to be nullable, never mind then. Alright, so I'll just write n components. If that value exists, only then we can move forward, or else we cannot move forward. Unity object shouldn't be using null coalescing, so I'll just use null comparisons. Alright, what Unity suggests. Alright then. So again, we are still able to detect the race, and I am able to play the game. Now just need to update again the jumping animations. Again, that is going to be complicated, yes. As you can see, अपना division already थोड़ा mess up कर रहा है to what we are doing. So ठीक है. Properties and everything else. Within update, I want to write now if underscore components dot embody dot velocity dot y is less than 0. Right, now this is what I need to put into a property, because every time मैं लिखने जाएगा GD हो जाएगा थोड़ा. Right, so property पे डालने के लिए what we can do is private bull as falling. Right, since it's a property, it should be capitalized when a Unity is going to scream. Technically it shouldn't be capitalized, but I'm just going to ignore the Unity messages without suppressing anything. So I'm just going to say it's falling, and I'll paste it right here. Right, if this is falling, is negative 0.01 f. Alright, that is what I want to write. If it is really falling, in that case I want to be updating the vertical velocity. That is underscore components dot m underscore anim dot set float vertical velocity hash to this value. Alright, ठीक है. Alright. And also for when we actually jump, right, that is on jump, I also want to do the same thing but with a value of 0. Alright, दैट इज जंप करने का उसका वर्टिकल वेलोसिटी रीसेट नहीं हुआ, दैट इज नेगेटिव वैल्यू पे नहीं रहेगा वो. जंप करने का टाइम इट विल गो टू 0 and for when it is falling it will be updated on real time onto the animator. Right, so that is fine. Also I think this action can be done rather than update on fixed update. Why? Because why call it every single frame? Yeah, intensity कम कर देगा, which is the perfect, exactly what we want. Also, there arises the question, do we really require all this mono behaviors? The answer is no. There are better ways to do things, but this is the way that I have chosen to go with as of today. Alright, so I have divided components, I have divided events, I have divided animations, I have divided controller. Alright, so कैरेक्टर का इनपुट इवेंट्स वगैरह यहाँ पे आएगा, उसका एनिमेशंस के रिलेटेड जो भी चीज़ रहेगा यहाँ पे आएगा, कंट्रोलर के रिलेटेड जो भी चीज़ रहेगा वो यहाँ पे आएगा, एंड ऑल ऑफ इट्स कंपोनेंट्स विल बी स्टोर्ड हियर. नाउ व्हाट आई थिंक इज I think component doesn't require to be a mono behavior anyways. Components can be a struct or even just a non mono behavior class, but ठीक है, उस पर वैल्यू कैसे लेकर चलेगा, इट्स नो बिगी, अभी के लिए चल जाएगा, इट्स फाइन. राइट, ठीक है. सो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू थिंक मोर अबाउट इट if it's fine or not, but if you are trying to make something out of your own for yourself, I think you should be giving it a thought as to are you doing correct, is that how it is supposed to be done or not, and everything else. Alright, so for this I'm going to use snake cases and then Pascal for hash s underscore grounded hash, because I think that looks cleaner. Alright, snake plus camel snaking. Oh, snake camel, nice. Okay, whatever. So for when it is falling, you will see कि इसका vertical velocity यहाँ पे update होता है. I will just try that. And इसका jump होने के बाद I guess we can conclude for today. Loading. Alright. So ठीक है, यहाँ पे ग्राउंड पे आया, ऊपर गया, नीचे करने का डेमो कैसी फॉलिंग एनिमेशन में गया, एंड यहाँ पे इसका वर्टिकल वेलोसिटी अपडेट हो रहा है. Now that is all good. just one single thing कि grounded होने के time we actually want to pass the character is grounded. So when it is falling, now we want to check underscore components dot m dot set bull is grounded hash to controller dot s grounded, right, for only when it is falling, right. Jump करने के time it goes to false and गिरने के time it's going to check every frame while it is falling. So we don't have to check or make a recast that runs every frame. You only want to make a recast for when the character is actually going down, and only then, not even going up, just going down. That's when you want to do your recast. What happened? What happened, my friend? Okay, is it not falling? It is falling, and वो true होके वापस false हो रहा for some reasons. Why? Okay. Is grounded hash किधर use हुआ? I'll right click, find all references, and it is used only two places. First is jump animation में जब false होता है, and then falling के time में जब वो true होता है. Is it because of fixed update? What if I do it in update? Is it going to change anything? Why is it turning false all of a sudden? Is it no longer finding any ground? Okay, now this is something unexpected. I will be trying to solve it at runtime. Okay, I think I need to debug this variable right here, right? That is print this guy, and also then print within here whatever it is colliding with. ये ग्राउंड से एक ही बार क्यों कर रहा है? Notice if both are true, then only it should be true, right? Alright. Print left info dot collider dot name plus info dot collider dot name. Alright, no, not all right. ठीक है. Why a null reference exception onto is grounded? What is leaving its place? There is something. Alright, it isn't finding anything. बराबर है. But which part isn't working? So I'm just going to say if info dot left, right? In that case, I'm just going to print this, right? And मैं यहाँ पे लिखूँगा L, right? And then I'm just going to go if info dot write or info write dot collider dot name, correct? We'll see what is not working. Have I done something wrong? I don't think so. I don't know. Ground बराबर है सब debug race. Let's also debug race. Why not? Okay, seems like it's working fine. But now I want to do it onto animation on every fixed update frame now. Okay, let us ignore about falling. राइट, इसको यूज़ करने के लिए जैसे वेर आई के इक्वल्स टू अंडरस्कोर कंट्रोलर डॉट एस ग्राउंडेड. सो क्या आएगा, एटलीस्ट इसका गेटर रन होगा फॉर नाउ. Why so much loading, man? Okay, it is colliding with ground as of now, that is correct. Nothing, and then back to ground. Nothing, back to ground. Nothing, back to ground. Nothing, back to ground. Alright, so there is an interval. Why are this different? Okay, उसका कॉलर डिफरेंट है, इसके लिए नेवर माइंड. हाँ ठीक है, कॉलर डिफरेंट है. तो डिड दे एवर गो फॉल्स इन बिटवीन? Alright, so are they even going false? Alright, so देखने के लिए हम लोग को यहाँ पे देखना पड़ेगा if this, okay, if not or not, okay, print. Okay. Imagine using breakpoint debugging when you can just print everything. Any comments as of now? Hola amigo, who are you? Piyush Chavan. Completing domain all the time. Yes, I can disable domain reloading. Why did I skipped? If you can see, it's skipped. It hacking skipped. Why is it skipping? Is it because of the composite collider? Let me try turning off the composite collider. Yes, let me try it again. Okay, that's it. I don't want to wait any longer. I go to editor, I turn off domain reloading, and now I press the OK. It was definitely because of the composite collider, which I said is going to give out issues. So I think it's working fine without the composite, but yeah. Alright then. Alright. So I guess we won't be using composite collider today. Anyways, composite collider today is for noobs. I guess no, it's not for noobs, it's for pros. But I'm not a pro. I'll collapse everything, and I think I need a break, or maybe I need to end this session because now we are jumping just fine, right? Just fine. Yeah, the required components attribute, I'll add them later. I don't really need them right now. So Mira sweet Ellen, what is this doing? What is she doing? Does she look like she's in error? Yes, definitely. So in that case, since tilemap collider पे is there an option to offset everything? Yes, there is. Yoink. Negative 0.25. Done. Press play. Great. Alright. ठीक है. It's because composite colliders do not have volume, whereas tilemap collider have volume. So if I want to represent what a volume is, this is a composite collider, whereas this is a tilemap collider. Right? It has volume, whereas composite collider does not have a volume. So that is why it was skipping frames when recasting on a composite. Alright, that's it. So again, अपना क्या था, अपना easy rounded is only functioning for when you're falling, otherwise it's idle. Okay, nothing is overrunning anything. सब जितना हो सके उतना कम फ्रीक्वेंसी में कॉल हो रहा है सब कुछ. Cool. So ठीक है, this is good. I like this. I'm going to turn this off and turn this off. Hopefully I have this project by next week as well, unlike the top down game that I attempted to create, so I can continue on this channel. Alright, so bye bye. Any questions? Is anyone even here? Am I alone by myself? Okay, there is a 30-second delay. I guess I must wait for 30 seconds in order to see if anyone has replied or not, because अभी तक तुम लोगों को पहुंचा भी नहीं होगा वीडियो, मैंने क्वेश्चन पूछा हो. What happened to top down game? Alright, so the thing is, top down game was supposed to be over here somewhere, right? And when exchanging lecture files between all of the students, it must have been misplaced, or I must have accidentally pressed shift delete, and I must have then pressed enter or something like that, so it got deleted anyways. I don't remember how, I don't know when. So now we continue with Ellen. If only I had a penny for every platformer tutorial I had ever taken. I'd have so many pennies. Or rupees. Yeah, rupees, not pennies, okay. Okay. Okay then, bye bye. Stop streaming.